Hello and welcome to Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com. It's the PlayOnSports.com pregame show live from Moreau Catholic High School in Hayward, California. I'm Sean Hennessy with Eric Hodge on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Tonight's matchup features the visiting Campolindo Cougars against the host Moreau Catholic Mariners. Eric, happy to see you alongside me, my friend. We had a few moments to go down the field and chat with the coaches. Very exciting atmosphere here. Week 1 in the North Coast section. Two teams getting ready to go at it here. Let's talk about Campolindo a little bit. Had that amazing run last year, going 14-1, making it all the way to the State Bowl championship game, coming up a little bit short. What an amazing run they had last year.
Yeah, without question, Sean, you got to think about everything they overcame last year. Prior to the season last year, a lot of people thought they'd finish in last place. They go on this amazing run, lose to Washington Union in the Division III Bowl there. However, you got to think about that and just see the amazement and see the enthusiasm. They're ready to hit someone else. They've been practicing it against each other, so this is the night. It's ready to get started again for Campolindo.
An exciting time. Those guys are pumped. As for Moreau Catholic, looking to play the upset here. Last year they were knocked off 37-7. It was a rough game for them. Fresh year. It's a fresh new start. The question is, can these guys play upset?
You know, talking to Coach Andrew Cotter prior to the ball game, he said pretty much, you know, the one thing they need to do today to compete is not turn the ball over, and as cliche as it sounds, play their brand of football, which is kind of nose to the grind. I'm going to run you over. So, yeah, can they compete? Without question. It's the first game of the season. Everyone's 0-0. Let's start the season right now.
Let's go back to Campo here. They had such an amazing run, and you take a look at a lot of the media here in the Bay Area, especially last year, they had these guys to finish dead last in their league.
Right.
So they really shocked the world. They shocked everyone and made it to the state finals. The question is, with 4 returners coming back on both offense and defense, can they do it again? Can they make it back to state?
Yeah, keep in mind, everyone says that defense wins ball games. This team this year is only bringing back one starter. Is that going to hinder them? Maybe. However, you got to look at their quarterback, Brett Stevens. I know a lot of people out there know the name. He is one heck of a player who can do it with his arm, but most impressively, his feet. Now, Sean, he led this team in rushing last year with 371 yards as a quarterback. This kid is not afraid to run over anyone, not to mention 3,000 yards passing, 31 touchdowns. Coach Kevin Macy just told me that he just verbally committed to UCLA to play baseball. So, obviously, this kid's an athlete. Watch out for him.
Excitement's in the air, folks. That's going to do it for tonight's PlayOnSports.com pregame show. We'll be back with the kickoff in just a few minutes. Friday Night Football begins next on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
.316 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen? That was
Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took the handoff from Dion.
He took the ball right out of Dion's hands and just
holy cow!
Can't say I've seen that one very often.
Snyder comes shooting in from the A-gap. I think Dion froze when he saw him. He's ready to hand off to his running back. He froze when he saw him and just let him have the ball. 12 seconds to go.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop.
5, 4, 3, 2. Get the snap off. Last play of the game. Brewster rolls right. Gets away from 2 sacks. Dons wins. Sack at the 20-yard line. What a game.
And number 40, Lucas Zinder with the game-saving sack. And there is heartbreak on one sideline.
Welcome back to Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, coming to you live from Hayward, California. I'm Sean Hennessy with Eric Hodge on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Weather picture perfect, 66 degrees here in Hayward, California. The sun beginning to set. Eric, you and I had a chance to go down on the field and take a look at the overall conditions. The JV squad just got done playing. A couple blotches here and there, some discoloration going on the field.
Right.
Do you see that being an impact overall in week one?
You know, they always talk about footing and how that can impact your game. Honestly, let me throw this out there. It's the first game of the season. No excuses, right, even on the field conditions. I don't think it'll play that big of an issue, especially for the fact that both these teams, I feel like, are going to rely on the run. And despite the fact that it is a little beat up, they're going to get through it because, like I said, it is the first game of the season, Sean.
It's Campolindo and Moreau Catholic here at Moreau Catholic High School. Both teams coming back over to the sidelines. The captains for the Campolindo Cougars, Zach Ramato, Nikki Iwakawa, CJ Tui, and Brett Stevens, the star quarterback, one of the main captains for Campolindo. Flip sides for Moreau Catholic. Their captains are Kelson Adeni, Gabe Villarreal, DJ Suto, and Nick Canast. He is the quarterback for Moreau Catholic. So the fans are starting to jam into the stadium here in Hayward, California. The lights are on. You know, we take a look at this matchup here, Eric. These two teams getting ready to face off for the first time. They're all done with their scrimmages.
Right.
You take a look at Campolindo. One of the interesting things that Coach Macy informed us down on the field was that in their scrimmage last week, a lot of drop passes from his wide receivers. It'll be interesting to see how those newcomers really step up into those number one roles.
Right, and I asked Coach, you know, what's the biggest difference from this time last year to today? And he said last year that ultimately, you know, everyone was just jacked at this time of year to get out there, hit someone. He feels like with all the success they had last year, that this team might in fact be a little bit nervous.
So we're getting ready to start things off here at Moreau Catholic High School. It's Campolindo and Moreau Catholic. Campolindo last year 14-1, making it all the way to the California Division III State Bowl Championship game, but coming up just a hair short against Washington Union out of Fresno, California. 21-16 was the final, but they had a remarkable run. As for the Mariners of Moreau Catholic, they finished last year 6-5 overall, 5-2 in league play, but had a disappointing loss in the first round of the playoffs to Berin Christian, 21-10. The Mariners will kick off to start the 2012 high school football season. We are underway. The up man from the 25-yard line has some space and finally nailed around the 40-yard line. Taking the ball right there was Damian Stoner. Correction, that was Calvis for Campolindo.
You feel it? First kickoff of the season. You ready?
The excitement is in the air. The team's jumping up and down. You look down at Campolindo right now. Players are excited. Really a lot of atmosphere, a lot of energy going on here for week one as we get ready to start high school football. In the North Coast section, the Diablo Foothill League for Campolindo, the Mission Valley League for Moreau Catholic, Campolindo Division III, Moreau Catholic Division IV, so smaller school in terms of population for Moreau Catholic. Campolindo will go right to left. They'll line up with two backs. The quarterback, Brett Stevens, highly touted senior, had a remarkable year last season, 31 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions, a 4-to-1 ratio, and right off the get-go we see some flags with an early jump, offsides by the defense.
What do you think, Sean? A little nerves there?
A little nerves. These two teams, really they had a chance to get a lot of that anger and frustration out from 2 days in the scrimmage, but when you get all the fans in here and when you get the atmosphere for that first varsity game of the year, there's nothing quite like it. And I think right there we just saw some excitement, some early jitters early on. It's going to be 1st and 5 now following the 5-yard penalty. Ball marked down around the 45-yard line. Man in motion right to left. That's Justin Dunn. It'll be a handoff left side. Slipping one tackle. Now breaking away. A huge gain crossing the 40 on the left side. And what a run right there by Ryan Hoffman, who was one of the names that Coach Macy mentioned early on as we had a chance to interview him before the ball game. Coach Macy mentioned Hoffman's one of the guys that he wants to keep his eye on. Why? Because he's small in stature, wants to see how he reacts to that offensive line.
Coach Macy referred to him as a skinny track kid coming into the season. So, yeah, you saw the speed there.
So first play for Campolindo goes for 10-plus yards. It's going to be 1st and 10 now. They have the ball on Moreau Catholic's own 38-yard line. We're in the first quarter, 11 minutes, 47 seconds. And here's a quick pass play to the far side. That ball is dropped, and that's possibly a fumble. As you see a host of green players come in, the pass was intended for Mason Windot. He can't come up with it, but it looks like Campolindo's going to maintain possession. It's going to bring up second down. And so it was a quick pass play to the far side. And that was Mason Windot, and he was the number 3 receiver last year for Campolindo. And this year he's going to have to step up and take on that number 1 role. He actually had a very good year last year, 23 catches, 564 yards, and 6 touchdowns to add to that. But it'll be interesting to see how he comes into this season, taking on that number 1 wideout role. He'll line up towards the left side. 3 wide receivers lined up for Campolindo, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Lone back in the backfield. It's going to be second down and 13. Following the fumble, man in motion left to right. That's Dunn. Dunn going back to the left. This is Hoffman. Hoffman, plenty of room. As he goes down and crosses the 30, he'll get past the first down marker, and that's going to be a gain close to 15 yards.
And we're seeing that track speed that Coach Macy referred to earlier when we talked to him. Yeah, kid's got some speed to him.
11 minutes. 14 seconds here on the game clock in the first quarter. No score between Campolindo and Moreau Catholic. We're broadcasting to you live from Hayward, California. And it looks like it's about 65 degrees outside. A perfect evening here for high school football in the San Francisco Bay Area. 1st and 10 following that rush. And give credit to the offensive line right there, Eric. Really paved the way along the left side.
Very true. You know, of those 4 returning starters, 3 of them are on the offensive line.
Stevens under center, looks towards his left, checks the right side. Dunn in motion again, right to left. Steven drops back, hucks it towards the right, and he actually overthrows, Windot, incomplete pass, second down.
Well, you saw him overthrow that ball, but you saw the arm he has right there. You know, everyone talks about just the great arm he has, and obviously we saw the little zip there.
Yeah, he just missed him. The pass goes incomplete towards the right side. And one thing with Campolindo you have to consider, too, last season they averaged 207 in the air. They also averaged $154 on the ground. That's a pretty balanced offense.
Very balanced. And a lot of that is Stevens, right?
Second down. Stevens looking for a deep ball. Far corner of the end zone. That's caught. Is it in? Waiting for the signal. Touchdown. In the back far corner of the end zone. A tremendous grab right there. That was Philip Rye in the back corner of the end zone. The junior gets his first catch in the ball game, and what a way to bring it in. It's a touchdown.
You love seeing that little post route to the corner there, and Rye with the hands in the corner.
So Rye gets a huge touchdown in the far corner of the end zone. That'll count for 30-plus yards. Campolindo strikes first, and they did it in just 5 plays. And here's a botched try on the PAT. Placeholder rolls out to the far side. And that's going to be good for a 2-pointer. So traditionally, you don't try to nail it like that. But that was Andrew Zolantakis, the placeholder, who rolls out to the far side and converts it for 2. But hold on, we've got a flag mark down just inside the 10-yard line. It's going to be holding against Campolindo. So the PAT try was no good. The kicker, Christian Antizana, will have to wait to test his foot. First-team All-Leaguer from last year. And Eric, everyone remembers he's the famous player that kicked that game-winning kick at the Coliseum.
At the Coliseum, mind you. You talk about pressure.
And he's actually wearing a new jersey here tonight. He's wearing number 32. For those of you that have perhaps a roster in front of you, marked down originally 26. Switched for tonight's game, rocking the number 32. A longer PAT try here as this one's up and it crosses inside. No, it's just right from the angle we were at. It looked like it just got inside the right upright, but it goes just right. 2-point try, no good via the penalty. PAT, no good. Campolindo 6, Moreau Catholic 0. Impressive opening drive right there.
Very impressive opening drive. You know, this is my first opportunity to see Brett Stevens live. You know, just on that post route pass that he threw, you could tell he's got the touch.
So the PAT try, no good, but Campolindo does take a 6-0 lead. And I think what made it so impressive was just 5 plays. 5 plays, yeah. They were able to go just over 50 yards down the field. they capitalized off that early penalty, that 5-yard penalty, and really from there it was full steam ahead. We see Hoffman get some nice carries and some nice yardage on the ground as well.
Yeah, I was impressed by Hoffman's ability there. Anytime a track star comes out and displays their speed on the gridiron, I'm always amused seeing the fast kids out there. It's fun to watch.
10 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Campolindo on their opening drive of the ball game scores and makes it 6-0. PAT try no good. Campolindo, safe to say, the favorite in this matchup. They did defeat Moreau Catholic last season 37-7. So this year they get a chance to possibly tack on and make it a 2 in a row. And here's a real high short kick that will be fouled on and taken around the 30 from Moreau Catholic. They'll have great field position to start this next offensive series. And you take a look at the two teams' uniforms here for those of you watching in at home. Moreau Catholic in the green jerseys, gold helmets, gold pants. Home team for this matchup, and the visiting Campolindo Cougars in the white uniforms with the navy helmets with the red trim. Nice picturesque scenery in the background with the foothills of Hayward, the golden foothills. As we get a chance to see Nick Canast, the quarterback for Moreau Catholic. First play, and the ball is fumbled. It's botched right from the center. And fortunately, Moreau Catholic is able to recover. They'll lose 1 yard on that play, so it'll bring up 2nd down and 11. Taking a look at Nick Canast, he actually started last season. He had 14 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and from what Coach Cotter informed us, he's a dual threat, 2-sport athlete. Happens to be a heck of a basketball player as well. Man in motion next to Canast. He will hand the ball off straight up the gut. And this is DJ Suto.
And Suto taking over for Jordan Jabson last year, who had a pretty successful year last year, averaging 7 yards per carry. So Suto definitely trying to fill some shoes this evening.
Suto will have his work cut out for him. Similar to Coach Macy, Coach Cotter wanted to see how Suto was going to react this year too, stepping into the running back position, the full-time role. It's going to be 3rd down and 9 following the 1-yard rush. This will be play action. Quarterback rolling out towards the near side. And Canast cannot complete that. It goes up incomplete. It's going to bring up 4th down. So nice job defensively right there for Campolindo. Providing the coverage along the near side right there was Jack Phipps, who was the defensive back closest to the ball. On to punt the ball away is Canast, who was lining up at quarterback just a few moments ago. So Canast will take on the punting duties. An end-over-end punt that bounces just shy of the 40, around the 35-yard line, still loose. And it's finally tagged down by a Moreau Catholic defender. So 3 and out for Moreau Catholic, a very short offensive series. They fumble the ball, they lose 1 yard, they gain 1 yard, and then unfortunately they have to punt the ball away off of an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I think you just go back to nerves again. First drive of the season, you got to work your way up to it.
And so here's Stevens, far side. This is a complete pass towards the very far side of the field. That was Justin Dunn, and he's the man, if you're watching it at home, he's the man that's constantly in motion. He will be moving around quite a bit. They shift him around to catch the defense off sides, and right there he catches a pass good enough for a new 1st down.
It's interesting to see because prior to the game we mentioned how Coach Macy was talking about how a lot of his players were dropping a lot of balls. We haven't really seen that tonight.
8 minutes and 43 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Campolindo with a early 6-0 lead. PAT try was no good on their first touchdown. Fresh set of downs here, 1st and 10. As they cross over midfield, they are at the Mariners' 44. Talk about a great move by the wide receiver Windat, as Mason Windat manages to do a little shuffle down the near sideline, and he takes that for a big gain.
Windat looks like a pretty big kid.
Windat, senior, 5'10", 175 pounds. The kid can move. He's one of those speedsters,
Right.
Eric, on the field that can really do some damage, especially if you get him in a one-on-one
Yeah,
situation.
you just saw it there on the sideline. You know, he got down on the sideline and he picked up a good amount of yardage.
1st and 10, Campolindo. Now they're on the 23-yard line of Moreau Catholic. 8 minutes, 4 seconds left in the first quarter. Motion once again, but that was Matt Yaklovich going from right to left on your screen. In the backfield now, we're also seeing Nikki Iwakawa, a senior at 5'5", 150 pounds. One of the smaller players on the field, but make no mistake about it, this kid can move, especially with a tall offensive line that averages just over 6 feet. He can be a difficult target to latch onto. 7 minutes, 45 seconds left here in the first. Stevens directly under center. This is a handoff that goes right side for a couple on the ground. Shadows start to appear on the field now here at Moreau Catholic High School. The sun beaming directly on the scoreboard, so at times it does make it difficult to pick up the yardage marker along with the score and time. But we'll do our best to make sure we get that to you. In the backfield now is Dunn, or I beg your pardon, that's Hoffman. Hoffman now switches in. Yaklovich to the left. And this is Hoffman. Hoffman stood up, and a great tackle right there defensively by DJ Soto. Coming up, laying low, putting both hands on the ball carrier, and he stops him for a minimal gain, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and 1.
Soto playing both sides of the ball.
Soto, one of those dual threats, playing running back while on offense, outside backer on defense. 3rd down and 1 here for Campolindo. Defense with 3, now 4 backers lined up inside the box. They shift over towards the left. It'll be a handoff. Nice hole to work with, and that looks like it's going to be a 1st down for Hoffman as that O-line started to peel towards the right side. And, of course, when you talk about the O-line, you're looking at the right side, and that's Ilya Lopez, who is listed at the right guard, and the right tackle, that's Daniel Saminego. And, of course, the tight end, Jack Davis, who was also in on that play, did a great job really peeling and forcing that play towards the left.
That's right.
And so it's going to be 1st down again for Campolindo, moving the ball quite easily here. 6 minutes and 2 seconds in the first quarter. It's 1st and 10 on the 11. Stevens looks right, nothing, looks left, flushed out near side, decides to take it, and he'll wisely go out of bounds. Chasing him down was DJ Soto. Suto, a linebacker that Coach Cotter will rely on at 170 pounds. He's one of the leaders for that defense. A senior, a lot of the players rely on him when it comes to tackling, when it comes to lining up correctly. He's very vocal. You can look and see him talking out loud, using hand gestures, trying to get everybody lined up correctly. This is 2nd down. Hoffman sees nothing middle, goes left and punches it into the end zone. He had daylight towards the left. He saw it, and that's another score for Campolindo.
Great cutback there for Hoffman to get out to the outside and get the 6 points there. Hoffman get a lot of carries early in this ball game.
We mentioned that last year, the passing attack and the rushing attack for Campolindo, it was pretty balanced. 207 through the air and a $154 on the ground. If you're a defense, you almost have to ask yourself, well, which one are we going to focus more on?
Stop one, right? It's a double-edged sword.
PAT try up in the air by Antezena is good. And so that will now make the score 13-0 in favor of Campolindo. And that's going to be back-to-back scoring drives for Moreau Catholic as Ryan Hoffman is able to punch it into the end zone inside the 10-yard line. And so far, Campolindo looking very impressive. 2 straight offensive series. They managed to score, and nothing too flashy through the air. We hear an awful lot about Brett Stevens, but so far it's been the ground game.
Yeah, and it cracks me up because Coach Macy said that this team was a little nervous coming out to this ball game, and so far I don't see the nerves. All I see is this team prepared, running their plays, and doing what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Moreau Catholic lining up to return the ball. Some familiar faces, DJ Suto, one of the return men. And he won't get a chance to do it. So far, the 2 kickoffs have gone very short for Campolindo, but I think that's a little bit of strategic planning on behalf of head coach Kevin Macy, trying to catch those front lines off guard and possibly get the ball back on a turnover. So we're still in the first quarter here. 5 minutes, 39 seconds remaining. 13-0 Campolindo over Moreau Catholic.
Let's see if the Mariners offense can get going here.
Another player to take a look at for the Mariners, Derek Buss. And he actually lines up along the left side, number 57 on your screen. He's the left tackle. He's one of those players that Coach Cotter just can't stop talking about. Senior class president, 4.4 GPA, an all-around great athlete for the Mariners on the left side of that offensive line. Here's a handoff that goes right, absolutely nothing. Great defensive pressure, and sniffing that play out from the get-go and coming up and making a superb tackle was Brett I beg your pardon, it was actually listed as number 7. That was actually Zolan Takis, who came up and made a nice tackle. And correction, that was Tyler Petit. So you take a look down on the field. Petit, originally when you take a look at the roster, they switched some jerseys around. He is now listed at number 8. He's the left backer, outside backer on your monitor. Here's a deep pass towards the middle. Wide open receiver, and it's overthrown. So the Mariners miss a killer opportunity right there as they had a wide open target. Ian Rojas had a chance to break
Rojas
away.
Had a step. He had a step. Canast with a good look, just a little overthrown there.
And so that's going to bring up 3rd down now. It's 3rd down and 9 for the Mariners offense. 4 minutes, 52 seconds left in the first quarter. Ball on their own 34-yard line. It's 13-0 Campolindo, and they line up with what appears to be almost a nose tackle directly over the center. 2 ends standing upright. The linebackers drop back. Canast with a throw, tipped, but now caught by the running back. This will be taken towards the far side, and it appears it'll be good enough for a 1st down. Deflected at the line of scrimmage, but coming up with the football was Jason Hinton, who stepped in as the tailback. And right there, he kept his eyes on the ball. He followed it all the way in for a nice gain.
Hinton kind of in the right place at the right time there. Way to turn it upfield.
And that's the first down of the season for Moreau Catholic's offense. It'll be 1st and 10 now for the Mariners on their own 45-yard line. And this will be a little inside handoff to one of the H-backs who lines up towards the left. You'll see a little bit of motion every now and then. That's Chris Garcia, who's listed as the fullback for the Mariners, and occasionally you'll see him directly behind Canast, but right there, he's almost lined up in sort of a wing formation,
yeah,
if you will.
A lot of expectations for Garcia. Last year's JV MVP, so he's coming in this year, hopefully helping out with the load.
Rojas, the wide receiver, towards the right, being directly covered by Jack Phipps. And we see some flags thrown here. Could be a false start. No, it's going to be offsides against the defense. So nice job right there by the quarterback, Nick Canast, barking out the calls and getting one of the defensive linemen to jump right there from Campolindo. And so with the penalty in hand, that'll give the Mariners a 1st down as the ball now crosses over. It's directly at midfield. 3 minutes, 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Canast goes directly under center. And Suto gets absolutely hammered as an inside backer comes and just delivers a vicious hit, taking him down by the shoulder pads. Coming up and making the tackle right there was number 59 for Campo, and that's Ilya Lopez.
And Lopez got in that hole really quick. Cover that gap.
Second down following the 1 yard loss. Lopez really penetrated the line of scrimmage there and was able to take him down in the backfield. Here's a pass play going towards the near sideline. Suto crosses the 40 and gets out of bounds around the 35-yard line. Phipps making the tackle, but Suto picking up some nice yardage right there off the quick dump pass.
And boy, you got to be impressed with Suto so far, man. This kid's playing both sides of the ball. He plays special teams. You throw a ball out to the corner there, and he's got the speed still left to get it up 10 yards.
So now the ball will be placed around the 35-yard line, but it appears we actually had a penalty on the play as the official points over towards the Mariner offense. Our head referee tonight, Jerry Robinson. Our umpire is Al Gordello. Our head linesman, Paul Campinas. Our line judge is Fernando Cova Rubias, and our back judge is Jeff Lee. And so, as you can probably hear through the PA system, unsportsmanlike conduct called against Moreau Catholic, and that's a big one. So that actually brings the ball back close to the 50-yard line. First down marker will remain at the Cougar 34, but it's going to be second down and 15 here. Last thing you want to see, an unsportsmanlike penalty.
I was just about to say that, yeah. Took the words right out of my mouth, Sean.
2 minutes, 49 seconds.
Especially when your team's driving.
So that'll push him back a little bit as the ball is marked down closer to midfield. And Jerry Robinson signaling up to the broadcast booth to go ahead and roll the clock. And you look down at the Mariners offense, it's not a real crazy offensive scheme. Pretty basic in terms of the lineup. This is Canast looking for the far corner. And he was nearly able to hit his target as that one was overthrown. That was intended for Hinton, Jason Hinton, who's a sophomore for the Mariners. He was actually being double covered on the far side of the field. Providing the coverage was Zach Ramato, and assisting him was Isaac Christian.
Hinton got his finger on that. You know, that's some athleticism when you go up beside your body like that and try to make a grab.
A hard route to execute, especially when you're trying to split two defenders across the far side of the field. Second down following the incomplete pass. 2 minutes, 43 seconds remaining in the first quarter. 13-0 Campolindo. Man in motion right to left. Canast under center. And this will be a handoff. DJ slips one tackle. And he's brought down around the 45-yard line, coming up making the stick right there. For the Cougars was Tyler Luckhurst. Luckhurst in the right spot at the right time, just lowering his shoulder and it really, from a defensive back's perspective right there, just kind of absorbing the blow.
He really did.
As you're being blocked and you have a man running full speed into you, it's kind of hard to deliver any blow back to him.
Perfect word to describe that.
3rd and 5 on the 44-yard line. Two wide receivers will spread out towards the left side for quarterback Nick Canast. Two backs behind him. Rojas to his right. And nowhere to go for the running game. The defensive line and linebacking core coming up once again, sniffing that play out beautifully and stopping it for a minimal gain. It's going to bring up 4th and 1.
Mariners have a big decision here. Do you want to go for it this early in the ball game?
When you're trailing 13-0, it's always going through your mind, and it appears that the punt team has not come out onto the field, and they're going to try to catch Campolindo off guard. Canast directly under center quickly. He hands it off straight up the gut, and that appears to be enough for a Mariner first down. The sophomore gets it done for the Mariners as Hinton takes the carry, goes just off the right side, That's Kelson Adeni and Grayson Granzella. The right side of that offensive line paving the way for a fresh set of downs.
I'll tell you what, Jason Hinton, sophomore, coming in. Hey, welcome to varsity, kid. You get this carry on 4th and 1, put his head down, ran through the tackles.
And he got that crowd excited, too. You see the wave being performed now on the far side of the field by the Moreau Catholic fan base. Excited to see their team continue this drive, their best drive so far of the ball game. We're still in the first quarter, 45 seconds remaining. Jack Phipps, the corner, steps up and plays press. Outside backer on the far side, backs off. Suto goes near side, nothing. Phipps stands him up. He gets some assistance by Patrick Calvas, who comes up and holds him down. It'll remain second down.
You know, we're starting to see glimpses of this Mariner offense that averaged 33 points a game last year. You know, everyone talks about Campolindo's offense, but keep in mind, Mariners, they can put up points also.
The Mariners with a lot to prove here as they enter a new league. Last year they competed, of course, in a different section or a different league, if you will. So this year, the Bayshore League. So now they get an opportunity to see what they're made of in the Mission Valley League. That's the end of the first quarter. 13-0 Campolindo. A very impressive first quarter for the Cougars. Getting ready to start the second quarter action from Hayward, California. We're broadcasting to you live from Moreau Catholic High School. Campolindo with an early 13-0 lead. They had just 2 offensive series in that first quarter, Eric, but they were really impressive. They managed to get that offense going. Their rushing attack was phenomenal.
That's true. We got a chance to see this young kid Hoffman come out and get his first reps, you know, as a varsity member, and really impressing out there. Of course, Stevens with the 30-yard touchdown pass. So Campolindo looking good. However, let's give credit to the Mariners also coming out on this drive right now to start the second quarter. Also looking impressive on the offensive side of the ball.
So we'll switch sides. The Mariners still have possession of the football, but they will be moving right to left on your screen. Ball marked down on the Cougar 37-yard line as we get ready to start the second quarter. 2 wide receivers over towards the left, 1 to the right. DJ Suto in the backfield. This will be a pass. Chucking it deep downfield. Wide open target. Tremendous catch inside the 5-yard line. An amazing grab by Gabe Villarreal. Down the near sideline, dove, and what a catch.
When talk about just enthusiasm to start off your team, that's the pass that you need to see if you're the Mariners down 13-0.
Zach Ramato, the defensive back, who was in the area, got beat on that play. But I believe J.J. Ewing and Mason Windot, who are also safeties listed down on the roster and that are out on the field, were also beat right there. And so now it's going to be 1st and goal for the Mariners. The ball is fumbled at the snap. Canast forced to just fall on it, but he's going to lose some yardage perhaps inside the 5. The last thing you want to see right there, especially off of a big pass play, a big deep threat pass play, is a fumble. And I think that's just what you were referring to earlier on the broadcast, Eric, just those pregame jitters week 1. Suto goes straight up the gut. He'll follow Daniel Loza and did not get in. It appears that he's just shy. They're going to mark him just outside the goal line. It looks like that one's around the 1-yard line.
If that, yeah.
And the press box, we're located towards the right side of the press box here. Press box fully enclosed with glass, so it provides some nice coverage from the elements, but every now and then you'll get this wonderful glare. Here's a rush up the gut, and the officials indicate touchdown. A nice dive straight ahead, and the Mariners put up their first points of the 2012 football season. And right there, Chris Garcia, he gets the call and takes it in for 6.
And we were talking about Garcia earlier. Last year he was the JV MVP, so his first touchdown as a varsity member, he's got to be pretty fired up about that.
A 1-yard touchdown rush for the fullback Garcia, who bowls ahead. He goes right side. Denny, who is the right guard, give him kudos right there for really pushing that defensive line back.
Yeah, that hole opened up really quick.
And it looks like the Mariners are going to think things over briefly as they take their first timeout of the first half. They'll have 2 remaining, but now the score currently stands at 13-6 for Campolindo. And folks, we'd like to remind you that if you want to watch more of your school's great matchups, like the game you're enjoying here tonight, you've got to tell your school to sign up for the Play On Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
You've really got to be impressed with the Mariners coming back there as they did. You know, down 13-0. That's a big score for them.
O'Brien with the big boot right there. Andrew O'Brien up and away, and it's good. 13-7 as the PAT is perfect. So Campolindo, if you take a look at last season, they had this one in the bag, 37-7. It was a pretty easy victory for those guys. Coach Macy said they were fired up. They really had a lot of energy going into that matchup a year ago. And this year, we're not going to go as far as to say that they're coming out slow, because they really haven't. But right there, we see their defense. Their defense is human. They gave up a little bit of yardage right there. It was that deep play that really hurt them.
That's right. And, you know, as we mentioned before, this defense is only bringing back 1 senior. Did that hinder what happened there? Possibly. You know, big thing about everything is experience and all the experience you gain on the gridiron. So when you only throw 1 senior out there.
The Mariners fans going crazy as their teams put up the first points of the 2012 season. It's Chris Garcia, the fullback, who will punch it in for 6. PAT good by Andrew O'Brien. 13-7.
And I'm looking down at O'Brien on the stat sheet. He is listed as a kicker, offensive lineman, and defensive lineman. That's some talent.
He takes on a lot of different roles for this football team. O'Brien with a low kick that goes far left, and it rolls out of bounds. That's going to bring all sorts of flags. And Campolindo's going to have phenomenal field position as they get ready to start this next offensive series. Campolindo, one of those teams that will line up. It's considered a spread-style offense, and the way Coach Macy really described it is occasionally you'll see maybe 2 to 3 wide receivers out there. When they have the tight end, it's basically a 2-back setup when the tight end's out in the field. And the big tight end's Jack Davis, number 10 for Campolindo. It's an exciting offense that can put up some big numbers, especially when you talk about Brett Stevens, who is at this point still considering he made the verbal commitment to UCLA.
That's right. We want to reassure everyone it was a verbal commitment to UCLA.
So nothing set in stone as of just yet. A lot of time, a lot of football, a lot of sports in general to be played for that young man.
That's true.
Stevens, one of those 4 players returning. He's also the team's leading rusher. Short kickoff. Yep, man will take this across the far side and breaks away. He's got 1 man to beat, and he does. Crosses the 30, the 20, but steps out of bounds, it appears. My goodness, that one was nearly gone to the house across the far side. A tremendous return right there for Campolindo. Matt Yaklovich, one of the wide receivers who was actually playing up a little bit on that kick return, kept his eyes on the ball, slipped 1 tackle and took it for about 30 more yards downfield before he was finally knocked out around the 33.
And Yaklovich with the balancing act there almost pulled that off the score.
1st and 10 for Campolindo following the great return, and they were going to have great field position. But now they've got just phenomenal field position as they're over on the Mariner 33. This is a handoff. Hoffman breaks away for 11. Coming up and Making a much-needed tackle at the very last minute was Chris Garcia, who pretty much hung on for the ride.
So far, you have to be impressed by Hoffman's vision so far. He is finding the holes that are so minor and being able to cut them up field for yardage.
1st and 10 following that 11-yard carry on the ground. Ball marked down on the 23-yard line. 10 minutes remaining here in the half. Campolindo 13, Moreau Catholic 7. This one's coming around. This is Yaklovich. And there's a flag on the play. This one thrown by our referee, and usually when it's thrown by the referee, it's going to be a holding call. Indeed it is. Jerry Robinson signals towards the broadcast booth. And that's going to be a loss of 10 for Campolindo. So Matt Yaklovich, who had the great return, takes the ball right there, goes right to left. And Yaklovich, one of those players, a senior, 5'10", 160 pounds, expected to take on that number 1 role, similar to Mason Windot. Keep in mind, Windot was the number 3 receiver for Campolindo last season, so it's really a battle right here. And Coach Macy wants to see which wideout's going to come out on top. He wants to see which one's going to step up their game.
Very true.
1st and 20 following the holding penalty. Pass towards the near side, quick play, completed. Windot with room to work, cuts it back middle, touchdown. Mason Windot takes it all the way into the end zone. Count that one for 34 yards.
Give credit to Windot on that play, cutting outside, and the audacity to look back inside, cut it back inside for the score.
So Mason Windot makes a nice move along the near side. It was a simple pass play, just a quick drop back, a quick hitch by the receiver, and Mason Windot does the rest. He pulls ahead towards the middle and tacks on 6 for Campolindo. PAT try up and good. It's now 20-7 in favor of Campolindo. 3 straight offensive series, 3 straight scores for the Cougars offense.
So far, so good on the offensive side for the Cougars. Yeah, you have to be impressed. Stevens really showing off his prowess, too. It's such a simple pass, but just the vision to see Windot coming across field, knowing that he's going to have the opportunity to cut it field like he did.
The Mariners offense will get a chance to try it again as they think things over. The offensive coordinator for the Mariners, Rob Guttrell. He'll try to utilize his backfield, DJ Suto, Chris Garcia, Gabe Villarreal, number 19, who had that spectacular catch a few moments ago. Appears to be so far the main wide receiver that Nick Canast is looking for. He's really tried to pin the ball his direction.
You know, Stevens gets a lot of the credit on the quarterback side, but give credit to Canast. You know, coming into the season, he had 14 touchdowns last year. So far, he's got really good vision also, and his touch is what I've been impressed with so far.
Brett Stevens already warming up along the near sideline, following his touchdown throw. He throws a touchdown, and he says, what the heck, I'm going to come back to the sideline and keep the arm fresh. As that kickoff goes out of bounds, the Mariners offense will start on their own 20. 9 minutes, 23 seconds remaining in the first half. Campolindo 20, Moreau Catholic 7.
You know, talking to Coach Mason before the game, he was talking about how this offense really has come together in the summer, talking about how they go to Nevada Reno every summer to kind of go to camp and get to know each other on the brotherly level. And the big thing that they could not have at camp in Nevada Reno were cell phones, any electronics. Can you imagine 16, 17, 18-year-old kids without their cell phone?
No Twitter, no Facebook?
No Twitter, no Facebook.
My goodness.
Yeah, all they had to do was bond, learn their plays. So far, it is working for them.
And it appears we had an illegal block right there by the Mariners. Perhaps a chop block or a low block committed right there by one of the offensive linemen. Our referee, Jerry Robinson, walking over towards the sideline to discuss the penalty a little bit further with Coach Macy. So it'll be 1st and 10 on the 2 as opposed to the, or I'm sorry, on the 10 as opposed to the 20. Now it appears that our referee Robinson has indicated there were 2 fouls as the ball will move back to the 20. So a little bit of a miscommunication going on here down in the field. The ball's on the 20, then it goes to the 10, now it goes back to the 20.
First game jitters, right?
First game jitter, even the referees, even the officials. That's okay, though.
Even the broadcasters.
They get a chance to redeem themselves. Plenty of football left to go. First and 10 on the 20 for the Mariners following the penalty. The officials indicated that the penalty offset, so there were 2 penalties offset. Mariners on the 20. Garcia in motion towards the near side. Suto crosses the 20, the 25, tackled at the 29. So a 9-yard rush right there for Suto, and a late flag coming in, a very late flag at the last second. Isaac Christian making the stop. But that flag was thrown literally as Suto was getting ready to come back into the huddle. And that one was actually thrown by Al Gordarleo, who stands way behind the defense. That penalty is going to go against the Mariners. It's going to be 2nd down and 15 following the penalty. Nine minutes and 3 seconds remaining here in the first half. 20-7 Campolindo. Nick Canas checking the defense. Outside backers pressed up. It'll be a toss. Suto with a lead blocker has some room to work, and he gets tattooed around the 24-yard line. And a nice stick right there. Coming up and making a nice hit, that's Isaac Christian, calling his name quite a bit here for the Cougar defense.
Going back to Suto, talking to Coach Cotter before the game, he described Suto as a slasher, and I really think we're starting to see that.
Another flag on the play, first game of the year. Both these teams very excited to get things going, and usually you do see that at the high school level. A lot of flags being thrown early on. Another Mariner penalty, and right now they are shooting themselves in the foot. That play would have gone for close to 9, but instead the penalty will push them back, so it's going to be closer to 2nd down and 20. The ball will be on their own 10-yard line. Shotgun formation, first time we've seen Canas go from the gun. Plenty of time, looks right, nothing, and he's going to get dragged down for a sack. The question is he outside the goal line? That is very close to a safety. And that's inside the 1-yard line. Great defensive coverage right there, and coming up with that sack was Isaac Christian. Once again, his 3rd straight tackle right there. Coming up, Isaac Christian making a name for himself.
Yeah, he's in the zone right now. When you have 3 straight tackles, you are reading the offense. He is getting into the backfield whenever he wants at this moment.
Defense makes some quick substitutions as J.D. McPhee steps out, takes a breather. And one last player rushes towards the sideline. But it appears that Coach Macy didn't want to get a flag right there, so he burns a timeout. Both teams now with 2 timeouts remaining here in the first quarter. Play On Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. Follow us at Play On Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube and youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Sean Hennessy here, joined alongside me, Eric Hodge. Eric, first half winding down, 7 minutes, 29 seconds remaining here in the first half. Campolindo with a slim 20-7 lead. But how about the defense right here? Christian sacking Canast inside his own 1.
Yeah, Christian really making an impact. Like you said, 3 straight tackles right now. This drive belongs to Christian.
It's going to be 3rd and long. To be exact, 3rd and 29. And we've got a flag on the play following the timeout. And you see one player run off the field late at the last second, going back over towards the Mariners sideline. There were too many men on the field. It's not going to hurt the Mariners all that much because they're inside their own 1-yard line anyway.
They can't really go anywhere at this point. Yeah, you look at the flags, 3rd and really long at this point.
We'll see if the defense shows pressure. They rush 3. Late throw, tipped, nearly intercepted, but it hits the ground first, incomplete. Campolindo, a tremendous job on defense, forces 4th down.
Give credit to Campolindo's defense. We've been mentioning it all night. Only 1 returning starter from last year's 14-1 team. Man, they looked impressive right there.
And that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. The defense actually appeared to just rush 3. For a moment, it looked as if the near side backer was going to accompany that and make it a 4-man rush.
And that's the impressive part. They still brought the pressure.
The returner, Justin Dunn, stands around the 22-yard line. And Nick Canast, the quarterback who now will play punter, will line up deep in his end zone. But before that, the Mariners will burn their 2nd timeout. And it's probably a wise call right here by Coach Andrew Cotter, given the fact that it's 4th and forever. Your punter is going to be punting that ball from his back heels on that goal line.
Right, you're going to want to talk this over, definitely. You know, it's early in the ballgame, but this is a huge, huge possession coming up for Campolindo.
And, you know, whenever your punter's foot is nearly out of bounds in the back of the end zone, it's a scary feeling. Your center, I should say, is lined up more on the goal line. So you've got to imagine this is an opportunity for Campolindo not only to rush and send the house and try to block this punt, it's a chance for them to really go up big. You figure with the safety right here, let's go ahead and paint a picture for you. With the safety, it'd make it 22-7. Yeah. And that would just make things even harder for the Mariners if they were to score touchdowns at this point.
It's bizarre to say. There's 7 minutes left in the 2nd quarter, and this is a huge play coming up for the Mariners on a punt, of all things, right?
And so Campolindo will switch return men. Mason Windot stands at the 30. That's the Mariner 30. Canast in the back of the end zone, and he gets the ball. No, it's tipped. It's tipped at the line, rolls loose, and a Cougar falls on it at the 5-yard line.
And if you're the Mariners, that's the last thing you want to see.
A great job by the special teams of Campolindo. Someone got their hand in there, put it up, and batted that ball down.
It was a hand. I think it might have been a helmet.
It appeared the way that the ball came off Canast's foot, it was going to be high more so than long.
Right.
And so you get that much pressure with just, 8 yards, 9 yards to work. That's a tough kick.
It was such a huge possession for the Mariners.
And so now we're actually going to see the Cougar offense work a little bit as Andrew Zolantakis lines up as quarterback. He hands the ball off, goes right side to Mason Windot, and that's a touchdown. 1 play from the 5, new quarterback, and that's 6 points for the Cougars. So Mason Windot with his 2nd touchdown of the ball game. He had a 34-yard receiving touchdown. This one goes for 5 on the ground.
Yeah, Windot showcasing the skills and the ability to get outside, showing off his speed, and pretty much walking in there.
So how about Mason Windot getting a chance to do it again, this time on the ground. And you see Campolindo going with the alternate quarterback right here. We look down the field for Brett Stevens. It appeared that he was going to check into the offense, but there was a minor adjustment as Andrew Zolantakis, who is a junior, he took the snap right there.
You would assume that happens just first game of the year. You want to see everyone get their reps.
And now that really opens things up following the successful PAT try. It's 27-7 in favor of Campolindo. We're in the second quarter with 7 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. Eric Hodge joined alongside me. I'm Sean Hennessy. Thank you for tuning in to the PlayOnSports.com broadcast here in Hayward, California at Moreau Catholic High School. And right now it's all Campolindo. That defense really set them up for a nice quick score as they were able to get that ball on the 1 yard line, block the punt, pin it on the 5, and just one play later, a 5-yard rush. So now if you're the Mariners, Eric, what do you got to do? You figure that this will probably be, with 7 minutes and 12 seconds, you might get 2 offensive series in here before the first half comes to a close, if you're lucky. What do they have to do differently here to move that ball?
You really like to get a score. And a couple drives back when they were successful, they were playing their game. They were switching it up, running a couple plays through Soto, and then switching it up and throwing it through the air. So you really want to stay to your game plan, especially at this point of the game.
The kickoff goes out of bounds, so that means the ball will be marked down on the 20-yard line. Mariners going right to left. Nick Canas, the quarterback. He will try to forget that block punt, which happened just seconds ago. Throws towards the far side. Pass is caught at the 40. What a grab across the far side of the field. And coming up was Jason Hinton, the sophomore. This kid is looking mighty impressive as a sophomore.
And I don't know if you guys saw that at home, but Hinton was going the other way, had to turn his body all the way around inside the field and made that grab. I mean, as far as being a sophomore is concerned, this kid is ready for the varsity level.
And he was falling backwards,
He was falling backwards. He still made the grab.
An impressive catch right there by the sophomore. Mariners with a little more focus on getting back to the line of scrimmage quickly here. 1st and 10 on their own 39. Canast throws, flag thrown, and it appears we may have 2 flags as the jersey was grabbed. The intended target was Gabe Villarreal, and clearly grabbing on the jersey right there was J.J. Ewing, who tried to slow Villarreal down. No flag thrown, but there's a flag originally thrown back around the 38. And that's going to go against the Mariners. A little shocked that we didn't see a flag right there.
And, you know, we're up here in the booth with all of the coaches for the Mariners, and, yeah, they were not too happy with that.
They get excited,
flag there, yeah.
and they get upset just like any other coaches do.
Sure did.
And right there you see Villarreal. He was just running a seam route right there, and he managed to actually split the corner and the safety.
He got that extra step.
J.J. Ewing is the cornerback towards the near side of your screen. 1st and 15 following the penalty. Canas dumps it off to Suto. Suto makes a nice move at the 35, lowers his shoulder, and it will be a swarm of Cougar defenders who bring him down around the 36. All that moving will go for maybe 3 yards as another flag comes in on the play.
Yeah, Sean, we're seeing a lot of flags, you know, early on. We were talking about the jitters, and, you know, you see the flags out there first game of the season. It's got to be a big reason why.
And so that right there, for those of you watching it at home, when you see the referee pick up the flag and wave it over his head, it's a no penalty. And usually what happens is the officials will talk about it, discuss the flag, and they will rule as a team. If there is no foul on the field or if perhaps a misjudgment, they will waive off the penalty. And that's what happened right there. 2nd down and 15. 5 minutes, 43 seconds remaining in the first half. Campolindo with a 27-7 advantage over the host Moreau Catholic Mariners. Directly under center this time. Canast under pressure, and he goes down. Backside pressure from the get-go, and that was Patrick Calves with a vicious sack.
And Calvis, as a defensive guy, when you come up on a quarterback from the backside like that, I mean, that's got to be one of the greatest feelings to actually know that you have a wide-open hit and Canast, nothing you can do there.
That was a 10-yard loss on the sack right there, and once again, Campolindo's defense stepping up and really putting a lot of pressure on this Mariners offense.
Go back to the fact, Sean, that this team only brought back 1 defensive starter this year. Looking impressive.
4 minutes, 53 seconds. Shotgun formation for the Mariners as they face a 3rd and long. Blitz pressure, I should say, along the near side, and that one goes incomplete. 4th down upcoming.
At this point, yeah, if you're the Mariners, you really want to stop the bleeding going into half. Really a big possession coming up for them. Can their defense stop Campolindo?
So Canast, who has been the quarterback, and he's been really facing a lot of big pressure here in the first half. He'll line up to punt this one. Last time he lined up at the back of his end zone. He'll stand around his own 15. He gets this one away, though. It is not blocked. It'll take a bounce at the 50, and it actually takes a Cougar bounce and then just dies at midfield at the 42. And you look down at midfield, Eric, there's a lot of spots down on the field where, you know, we're still early in the summer. We're in August right now, so that the heat definitely takes its toll on the field. You see some blotches of dirt that are really spread out across the entire field. And that right there could probably play a little bit of a role.
That ball it looked like a knuckleball, right?
It
went up in the air and
just died.
Stopped, yeah.
It just died. Normally you see it take a couple rolls, but it took one hop and just stopped. 1st and 10 for Campolindo. They'll go left to right. They have it in Mariner territory on the 42. And this is going to be Zolantakis, the backup quarterback, with a wide open receiver. Catches it at the 20, drug down inside the 5. Justin Dunn, an over-the-shoulder catch. Tremendous.
And Dunn with the fingertip grab there, holding on to dear life and managing to turn it upfield somehow after making that great catch.
So Andrew Zolantakis, the junior quarterback, will get what appears to be the remainder of the workload for the rest of this game, as number 9, Brett Stevens, has not been seen since late in the first quarter. But I don't think Zolantakis doesn't mind.
No, Zolantakis is looking good coming into the backup role here.
As a junior, you want to get this work with the top group. Fade route, corner, caught. Too easy. Touchdown for Campolindo in the far corner. And that was perfect. That was Hunter Rosenbaum coming up with the grab. As he just grabs it, falls down in the corner, and that's another touchdown for Campolindo.
And what's the number 1 rule as a wide receiver? Go up and get the ball. Rosenbaum turning around, having the interest to get up there and grab that football. Nice catch.
And I believe that's Rosenbaum's first catch in the ball game, and what a nice way to come into the game and make your presence felt with your first grab being a touchdown.
Being a touchdown, and a nice touchdown.
And that was a junior to junior connection. Rosenbaum, a junior at 5'11", 160 pounds. And Zolantakis, a junior as well, possibly a future matchup to definitely look out for.
So I know Stevens gets all the pub, but Zolantakis so far, I mean, in this backup role, I'm impressed.
And we'll try to see if we give you an update when we come back from the halftime, folks, to tell you what's going on with the quarterback situation for Campolindo. I know many people at home anxious to hear about Brett Stevens. More than likely he's probably fine, but with the score the way it is, as the PAT is up and good, 34-7. I guess Coach Macy's thinking there's you know, doesn't want to have anything bad happen to his quarterback. No need to worry.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, the first game of the season, you want to make sure all your players are getting reps out there. You know, get comfortable. Long season out there for these kids.
Yeah.
And just observing, you see Stevens still on the sideline. He's walking around. He looks okay, so I'm assuming it's not an injury.
You see the Campolindo players down on their sideline, really energetic, moving around. And then on the opposite side, the Mariners at this point, a little stiff, a little rigid. And they've had to face 2 killer back-to-back defensive series put on by Campolindo's defense.
Yeah, you know, and I keep going back to it. You bring back one returning starter on defense, and you look as impressive as you do tonight. Give a lot of credit to Campolindo's defense tonight.
Gabe Villarreal back deep to return the ball. Next to him is Jason Hinton, who's had a couple nice grabs for the Mariners so far tonight. This kickoff will go end over end into the end zone, and that's an automatic touchback. Clock has 3 minutes and 54 seconds remaining here in the second quarter. We're broadcasting to you live from Moreau Catholic High School. As the sun is almost completely down, the lights are on here. Temperature in the low 60s here in Hayward, California, over in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. The Mariners Division IV North Coast section in the new Mission Valley League. Last year in the Bay Shore League, so they switched it up a little bit. Campolindo Division III North Coast section out of the Diablo Foothill League. 1st and 10 Mariners, right to left on your screen. Suto sees nothing middle, pushes it out towards the far side, slips a couple tackles, still on his feet, and he finally goes down for a nice 10-yard gain on the ground. Suto, a workhorse. That kid doesn't stop. He keeps those feet
No, he
trucking.
really doesn't. You've got to be impressive with his ability out on the football field. He's got so much agility. That play initially was to come left side, but somehow he managed to do a little move, cut it back outside to the right.
3 minutes, 38 seconds. We'll see if the Mariners can get one last score before this first half comes to a close, as they now have the ball in their own 31. Defense steps up. Suto pounds ahead following his offensive line. He's been going off the right side of his center. That's Daniel Loza, number 70, who's really paving the way for Suto when he tries to scamper right up the gut.
And for Loza, this is his first start in his career, so you know he's got that extra umph in his stomach right now. And it shows he's pushing that lineup, that defensive line of Campolindo back and letting Suto do his thing.
And Loza will have his work cut out for him, taking on C.J. Tui. Here's a rush by the sophomore that goes for about 13. Wow, I'm just impressed with this kid. The sophomore, Jason Hinton, getting the carry right there, and he bowls ahead for a gain close to 13. That one will be marked down at the 43.
Yeah, you think Mariner fans are excited about this Hinton kid? Only a sophomore, playing wide receiver, playing special teams, and showing off that he can run the ball there too.
A couple key catches earlier on in the ball game. Hinton now lines up as the tailback. 1st and 10. Fullback in motion. 2 minutes, 29 seconds left in the first half. Deep throw down the middle. And you see right there, Nick Canast looking for that target. That's Gabe Villarreal.
Despite the fact that being an incomplete pass, I am impressed with Canast. The pocket presence there, he saw it collapsing. He had the awareness to get rid of the ball, didn't move away from the pocket. Good job by Canast,
Yeah,
despite the fact it was an incomplete pass.
He really stood in there, and the way he's been, getting a lot of pressure tonight, you got to give him kudos for that, stepping up in the pocket and making a throw right there down the middle. 2nd down and 10. Another botched snap right there, and things could really start to get ugly for the Mariners, as Campolindo appears to, no, the Mariners are actually making some substitutions, but when they switch the marker like that from 3 to 1, that usually means that it is recovered by the defense. So a botched snap right there for the Mariners. It will give Campolindo the ball and another opportunity to score here in the first half. The clock is stopped with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. It's 34-7, Campolindo. Man in motion on your screen, right to left, and surprise, surprise, Stevens checks back in, hands it off. Nowhere to go as Garcia makes a beautiful tackle.
Yeah, interesting on Coach Macy's part to put Stevens back in the ballgame here with only 2 minutes left in the second quarter, up 34-7. Again, though, first game of the year, you want to get your reps.
And you see right there the ball carrier had absolutely nowhere to go as Nikki Awakawa took the carry. Number 4 for Campolindo. He was met right away by Garcia at the line of scrimmage. It'll actually go down for close to a 2-yard loss. Linebackers show blitz, and they do. It's a handoff, and it's read beautifully as that play goes for close to 15 yards on the ground. The defense showed blitz, and instead, what does Campolindo do? They hand it off to Nikki Iwakawa, the senior, who scampers towards the right side and gets some nice yardage on the ground.
And the perfect word for that play there is scamper. Did you see him just move, cutting upside, found that little hole? He's got some speed.
And he was very quick right there. As soon as he got the ball, it's almost a delayed handoff, if you will. The 5'5" senior made him pay. He's hard. I mentioned it early in the broadcast. He's hard to point out at 5'5". 1st and 10 at the 25. The Mariner 25. This will be a handoff that goes left side, and Campolindo just kind of working that clock down. And, well, we're glad to see that Brett Stevens, who's back in the ball game, appears not to be injured. He's fine. Perhaps Coach Macy took this as a nice opportunity to give both of his quarterbacks some work early on.
That's right. Get a look at both of them, see what they can do.
As Brett Stevens checks back into the huddle. Ayakawa checks in as well at 5'5". He's the shortest guy out there for Campolindo. But with that big offensive line of Tuhi, Weissler, Brumbaugh, Lopez, and Samaniego, he's hard to find. 2nd down and 6 from the 22. Ayakawa lowers his shoulder and takes it down to the 15. You think this kid's finesse.
No regard for his body there. 5'5", putting his head down full speed. You got to appreciate that.
That kid can move as he picks up close to 5 on the ground. So it's going to be 3rd down and 1. As Campolindo just lets the clock roll completely down. They actually won't even try to see if they can punch one last score into the end zone as the clock strikes 0. They even had a couple timeouts left, but you know what? When you're leading 34-7 at the half, you really don't need to do much more.
No, you don't want a player to get out there and get hurt with 10 seconds left when you're up 34-7.
So that'll do it for the first half here at Moreau Catholic High School. It's all Campolindo here in Hayward. Campolindo leads 34-7. We're going to take a short break here, folks, at playonsports.com. When we come back, Eric and I will have some first half analysis for you live from Moreau Catholic High School. You're listening in to playonsports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
.316 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen?
Jason
That was
Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took the handoff from
He
Dion.
took the ball right out of Dion's hands and just
Holy cow!
can't say I've seen that one very often.
Snyder comes shooting in from the A-gap. I think Dion froze when he saw him. He's ready to hand off to his running back. He froze when he saw him and just let him have the ball. 12 seconds to go.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop.
5, 4, 3, 2. Get the snap off. Last play of the game. Brewster rolls right. Gets away from 2 sacks. Dons wins. Sack at the 20-yard line. What a game.
And number 40, Lucas Zinder with the game-saving sack. And there is heartbreak on one sideline and a jubilation on another.
Offset eye for the Grizzlies as Keeney takes it under center. They'll send a man in motion, pitch back to Bird on the sweep. Bird finds a seam. He might go, folks. 20, 15, 10. Drags a tackler. Touchdown! Bird goes 38 yards for the touchdown on the sweep. One more snap is all it's going to take, and there you have it, folks. Your 2011 Division I Sac Joaquin section champions, the Granite Bay Grizzlies, as they defeat Pleasant Grove 30-24.
Jacqueline Williamson. Her serve is over. Dug by Holt. Giblin going back to Holt near side. Cut shot. Kept alive. Back in one by Cathedral. And this one is out as Castanon Hill sends it wide. And the Cathedral Dons have won the title 16-14 in Game 5.
Thomas with the ball, swings it out to Norris. Cameron Taylor tried to block that one away. Norris with a strong take, blocked by B.J. Anya. Huge block. Robinson leading the break the other way, gets it to Grant. Slam dunk Jeremy Grant off the feed from James Robinson. What a play by the Stags.
Runner at third is Chavez. 8-2 the score. Bottom of the 7th. The 1-2. Popped in the air. This should do it. Cortopassi says it's mine. Now he's fading on it. And he can't make the catch, but Gaff comes in from center field and does. Congratulations to the St. Mary's Rams, a three-peat. They win it 8-2 against Franklin to take the series 2-0.
This is time to run an offensive set that you've done all through the season in practice.
Yeah. And you also, you get it to your hottest player right now, just like they're getting into Eichhorst right here. He's going to try to create some space, find somebody on the backside that's open.
Eichhorst flush out to the right. Oh, breaks free of a player. Eichhorst on his own, shoots and scores, bounces a shot home. Kuz can't handle the shot. Eichhorst takes off the shirt and the helmet. And how about that? Alex called it. Eichhorst, after sustaining the injury in the third quarter of play, has scored the game winner with 22 seconds gone in the overtime period. Dog.
Welcome back, folks, to Moreau Catholic High School here in Hayward, California. Sean Hennessy, we're here with you. What a first half there, Eric. What a first half. Eric Hodge joined alongside me, 34-7. As the cheerleaders come out onto the field here at Moreau Catholic High School. A lot to talk about. Brett Stevens didn't get all that much action, even though he threw a couple touchdown passes.
Yeah, the action that he got looked impressive.
He did. He really did. We had a chance to actually see the backup quarterback, Andrew Zolantakis, come in and take a couple snaps. And matter of fact, the first play he comes in, he hands the ball off, and it's an instant 5-yard rushing touchdown. And, at 34-7, Campolindo sitting nice right now. Let's give you a quick scoring recap. Hoffman, the tailback for Campolindo, had a nice score earlier on in the first quarter. They jumped ahead quick, 13-0. And actually, Rye also had a score of his own for Campolindo. Later on in the second quarter, it was all Mason Windot. He actually had a 34-yard receiving touchdown, a 3-yard rushing touchdown, and then Hunter Rosenbaum with a beautiful reception in the far corner of the end zone. That really gave Campolindo the lead, and they just pulled ahead 34-7. The only score for the Mariners stands for Chris Garcia. He had a 1-yard touchdown rush, and that was really all thanks to the wonderful grab along the near side of the field by Gabe Villarreal, who leaped out for the ball, caught it inside the 5, and that's where we currently stand here, my friend. What are your thoughts on the first half?
I think really when it comes down to it, and the Mariners look at this ballgame, they are going to say to themselves, boy, we had a lot of penalties. We really saw a lot of flags out there for the Mariners. I mean, how many times did we see it 3rd and 20-plus for the Mariners? When you have that much space to make up on third down, it's going to be difficult for any team.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot quite a bit. You saw a lot of 3rd and longs. You look up at the scoreboard, you see 3rd and 30. You know something's going wrong. And you look back at that first half when they had their quarterback, Nick Canast, who's also their punter, line up in the back of the end zone. That ball was deflected right off of his foot. And Campolindo was able to recover on their own 5-yard line.
Yeah, let's give credit to Campolindo's defense. I go back to the fact that they are only bringing one returning starter to that defensive unit. But for what they've done so far, you have to be impressed. If you're Coach Macy in that locker room right now, you are giving a lot of credit to your defense as we speak.
Yeah, J.J. Ewing, the returning player for that defense. But you got to talk about Isaac Christian, who had a couple nice plays earlier on. Patrick Calvis had a huge sack towards the latter moments of that second quarter. And really, like you were talking about, Eric, it's been the defense for Campolindo that has stepped up and really paved the way for the Cougars to capture this score so far at 34-7.
And as cliche as it sounds, yes, defense wins games. And, Campolindo, Coach Macy, when we talked to him before the game, he said, hey, this team is a little nervous. I don't know about you, Sean. I didn't really see nerves coming from Campolindo's team.
No, and they started off pretty slow. They actually put up 21 points in the second quarter. It was a 13-0 lead going from the first to the second quarter. So they put up 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. They started out a little slow, and then all of a sudden they just caught fire. Their defense steps up. You see their quarterback, Brett Stevens, complete a couple nice plays. Their running back, Ryan Hoffman, found some nice holes. Justin Dunn had a couple nice grabs, and Mason Windot had 2 scores. So it just really all started to catch fire. And then going back to what you're saying, those penalties just killed the Mariners.
Yeah.
So now the question becomes, as we get ready to wrap things up to start the second half, how do the Mariners recover from what they put on display in the first half?
Really just stop the bleeding. You've got to say to your team right now, if you're Coach Carter, hey guys, let's man up right here. Let's cut back on the penalties. Let's go back to what was working for us, our game plan when they did score on that one drive. They were mixing things up. They were going to Garcia a lot. They were going to Suto a lot. And even Canasta was getting a couple completions. They really got to go back to the game plan, switch things up, and give Campolindo's defense a different look every single time they go to the ball.
Almost forget that first half even happened, right?
That's right. That's what you got to do at this point. Yeah, I know it's early. It's early in the season, but you just got to forget about the whole first half and take the good things you learned out of it, because believe it or not, they actually learned a thing or two in that first half, as bad as it was for them.
That's going to do it for the PlayOnSports.com halftime show. When we come back, we'll have some second half action for you right here from Moreau Catholic High School, where the score currently stands Campolindo 34, Moreau Catholic 7. You're listening in to PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
Under the direction of head coach Jasmine.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
3:16 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen? That was
Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took the handoff from
He
Dion.
took the ball right out of Dion's hands and just
holy cow!
Can't say I've seen that one very often.
Snyder comes shooting in from the A-gap. I think Dion froze when he saw him. He's ready to hand off to his running back. He froze when he saw him and just let him have the ball. 12 seconds to go.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop.
5, 4, 3, 2. Get the snap off. Last play of the game. Brewster rolls right. Gets away from 2 sacks. Dons wins. Sack at the 20-yard line. What a game.
And number 40, Lucas Zinder with the game-saving sack. And there is heartbreak on one sideline and a jubilation on another.
Offset eye for the Grizzlies as Keeney takes it under center. They'll send a man in motion, pitch back to Bird on the sweep. Bird finds a seam. He might go, folks. 20, 15, 10. Drags a tackler. Touchdown! Bird goes 38 yards for the touchdown on the sweep. One more snap is all it's going to take, and there you have it, folks. Your 2011 Division I Sac Joaquin section champions, the Granite Bay Grizzlies, as they defeat Pleasant Grove 30-24.
Jacqueline Williamson. Her serve is over. Dug by Holt. Giblin going back to Holt near side. Cut shot. Kept alive. Back and one by Cathedral. And this one is out as Castanon Hill sends it wide. And the Cathedral Dons have won the title 16-14 in Game 5.
Thomas with the ball, swings it out to Norris. Cameron Taylor tried to block that one away. Norris with a strong take, blocked by B.J. Anya. Huge block. Robinson leading the break the other way, gets it to Grant. Slam dunk Jeremy Grant off the feed from James Robinson. What a play by the Stags.
Runner at third is Chavez. 8-2 the score. Bottom of the 7th. The 1-2. Popped in the air, this should do it. Cortopassi says it's mine. Now he's fading on it, and he can't make the catch, but Gaff comes in from center field and does. Congratulations to the St. Mary's Rams, a three-peat. They win it 8-2 against Franklin to take the series 2-0.
But this is time to run an offensive set that you've done all through the season in practice.
Yeah, and also, you get it to your hottest player right now. Just like they're getting into Eichhorst right here. He's going to try to create some space, find somebody on the backside that's open.
Eichhorst flush out to the right. Oh, breaks free for player. Eichhorst on his own. Shoots and scores. Bounces a shot home. Coos can't handle the shot. Eichhorst takes off the shirt and the helmet. And how about that? Alex called it. Eichhorst, after sustaining the injury in the third quarter of play, has scored the game winner with 22 seconds gone in the overtime period. Dogpile on the field. Marin Academy take it. A fantastic finish to this game, and well, I hope his other ankle isn't hurting after this.
Hancock to his immediate left. Two receivers far side, one near side. Hancock on a counter, right side. He's inside the 10. He bounces off a tackler at the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Helix. And behind Hancock, the field is littered with white jerseys on the turf.
Wow. Hancock not to be outdone by his fellow playmakers on offense. Put on a show on that short 12-yard touchdown run. Looked like he was down after 3 yards, just threw a defender on the ground.
As sophomore Chris Carter sits under center in a tight wing formation. Lycos and Moreau.
Welcome back to Moreau Catholic High School in Hayward, California. Sean Hennessy here, joined alongside me, Eric Hodge. Campolindo leads Moreau Catholic by a score of 34-7 as we get ready to start the second half. A lot to talk about that we kind of hit on, Eric, in our halftime show. You know, if you're the Mariners right now, you see them doing some gashers. Not a lot of teams do this. I wonder if there's some discipline behind that, or perhaps just to get some extra motivation, because all those penalties really killed them in that first half.
Oh, yeah, it's out of all the fact that probably that all those penalties occurred in the first half. Really shot themselves in the foot.
And, you know, you see them gathered together right now as head coach Andrew Carter tries to pump them up and motivate them, because, you know, at this point, 34-7, you will be fighting back throughout the entire ball game, but that's why there's two halves. You get a chance to show what you're made of in the second half, and, you know, chances are Campolindo might make some substitutions towards this second half. So if you're the Mariners, you got to capitalize on the fact they might be going up against some second stringers, maybe third stringers, so they need to get some points, and they need to get them right now.
Yeah, if you're the Mariners right now, this first possession is going to dictate the rest of this game for you guys. It really dictate kind of the season. If they come back and make a push and really, you know, start to display what they want to do, I think it's going to help them throughout the whole season.
Campolindo on their way to a Week 1 victory. Taking a look at their schedule, next week they will take on St. Patrick St. Vincent, and that is a home game. That'll take place on August 31st at 7 p.m. Should be an interesting matchup. And another interesting note here is Moreau Catholic will actually do the same. They'll take on St. Patrick St. Vincent later on in the year. So both these schools will actually go up against St. Patrick St. Vincent as the schedule starts to go towards the early portion of the season. And now we see both teams come out onto the field to get ready to start the second half. DJ Suto, one of the return man, lined up. Next to him is Gabe Villarreal. To his right. Kicking off for Campolindo is Will Simmons, a junior at 6 feet, 170 pounds. He lines up the kickoff team. And the second half is underway. It's a low spiral kick that will be taken. Fair catch at the 28. And waving for the fair catch was Chris Estrada. He had nowhere to go, so he signals fair catch.
Estrada with the fair catch is probably the smartest play you can do there.
On the 28-yard line, left hash mark, the Mariners will start. They're wearing the green uniform, the gold pants, gold helmets, going right to left on your screen. On the left side, Campolindo in the white uniforms with the navy helmet and the red trim. with a hefty 34-7 lead as we start the third quarter. Here at Moreau Catholic High School in Hayward, temperature now in the upper 50s as we start the second half. It has cooled down quite a bit since we kick things off. Kickoff temperature close to 68 degrees. Handoff goes right side, coming up and making a tackle in the backfield. A very tough tackle right there by Ryan Hooper, a junior who comes up at number 44, gets his hands on the ball carrier, takes him down for a 1-yard loss. And if you're the Mariners right now with this deficit of a score 34-7, you figure the passing attack might come into play. You might see a lot more passing attempts.
You need to start turning it upfield right now. And considering the running game's not getting it done, you probably want to see your passing game. Turn it up.
Ryan Goulart, the tight end, switches sides from right to left. Here's a nice completion towards the middle of the field as the safety misses the tackle. But that's Gabe Villarreal who catches the post route towards the middle.
We haven't seen a lot of Canast tonight really display his arm, but when he lets it loose, the kid's got a tight little zip to it, as displayed perfectly there.
Second-year player Nick Canast mentioned earlier on he had 14 passing touchdowns last season, 3 rushing touchdowns. He's one of those players that Coach Cotter will rely on heavily throughout the season to really spark their offense, get things rolling. 1st and 10 for the Mariners on their own 42. Dump pass towards the far side. Pass is caught. This is the sophomore. This is Hinton. Hinton looking special as he crosses over the 50, pinned down inside the Cougar 40-yard line.
Usually when a sophomore starts on the varsity team, they have a high football IQ, and you can see Hinton just reading the blocks, coming into action there and turning it upfield. And I'm really impressed with this sophomore.
And what you said right there, a key word, he's able to read the defense. As soon as he catches that ball, his eyes turn downfield. He gazes on the linebacking core, where the safety's at. And a stat that's really helping him right now is the yards after catch, the old yak.
The old yak.
He's really putting up some nice yardage. 1st and 10 following the big completion on the Campolindo 38. And right there, Nick Canast under pressure just throws that one incomplete. He was looking for his target, Sutoa, across the far side. That one was incomplete, and actually providing the pressure right there coming in was Zach Noble, the senior, almost had a sack.
Yeah, he was on the edge of there. Canast just letting it loose at the last second.
Zach Noble getting some playing time here. Defense making some substitutions. Gabe Villarreal lined up along the right side of your screen. 2nd down following the incomplete pass. Canast under center. He hands it off Sutoa. And he gets nailed closer towards the 30. But he gets some nice yardage.
Yeah, I mentioned coming into the half, this is a big drive here for the Mariners, just not only for this game, but just to kind of get that momentum going. And you know what? At halftime, they were tested. They were tested by Coach Carter saying, hey, guys, do you want this? So far, so good here. No penalties. Looking good.
9 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Mariners with the football going right to left. It'll be 3rd down and 4 on the Campolindo 32. 2 tight ends in for the Mariners. They both go out for patterns. Canast under pressure, throws towards the far sideline, and that one goes off one of the wide receivers' fingertips, incomplete. It'll bring up 4th down. So an incomplete pass right there. Nick Canast standing strong in the pocket. And it's interesting to see this almost an ace-style formation, if you will. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 man in the backfield. Both tight ends going out, and you see Canast glance towards the middle of the field. Nothing there, so he then turns his eyes over towards the right.
He read his progressions. He's got the pocket presence in there. 4th down.
4th down, Mariners going for it. Canast looking for the slant. It's caught. An amazing grab towards the middle of the field. That's going to keep the chains moving for the Mariners.
And great ball by Canast there. He knew where he wanted to go that whole time. Saw the little hole and fed it perfectly.
And you hear the PA announcer, Goulart with the reception right there. He's the tight end, number 3, Ryan Goulart, along the right side of that offensive line. And that's a clutch reception on 4th down. Keeps the chains moving. It's 1st and 10 on the 21. Here's a handoff, still going right side. And it looks like Garcia, who took the carry, is going to be pinned inside the 1. A huge gain on the ground by Chris Garcia.
And I know they're down big, but I've been impressed of how the Mariners came out so far in the second half.
And they are moving the ball nicely here to start this first offensive series of the second half, as they now have the ball inside the 1. It's 1st and goal for Moreau Catholic. Handoff right side of the offensive line. Ball carrier trucks ahead, but no yardage gained on the handoff. It'll bring up 2nd and goal. Right side of that offensive line, Adini, Granzella, and Goulart, the tight end, make up the right side of that offensive line, and that's exactly where the Mariners are going. You can notice they're on the right hash mark as they keep going right. This time they go left. And it's in. Touchdown. Almost too easy. DJ Suto.
Suto finding the hole there and gutting himself right through it.
DJ Suto punches it in for a score. And the Mariners, with a beautiful offensive series, tack on 6 points.
And what were we saying right after the half? Hey, this is a huge drive for the Mariners. And they did. We were watching them run gassers there at the half, right? And I guarantee you that they got fired up in that locker room at the half.
And so that'll add some much-needed life to the Mariners sideline. A 1-yard rushing touchdown by DJ Suto. PAT try up and good. So that'll put the score at 34 to 14. Mariners still in it.
At this point, you say to yourself, wait a minute here, right? Keeping it interesting here.
They have a chance to keep it interesting indeed.
Yeah, we need a turnover.
Do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game you're enjoying here tonight? Tell your school to sign up for the Play On Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP. So the Mariners with a beautiful offensive series right there. Capitalize, DJ Suto. And I was hinting at the offensive line, Eric, right there. They kept going right side. They kept going right side.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they throw a curveball, go left, and Suto had plenty of room to work with.
You saw the hole open up because he saw Campolindo kind of cheating to the right side at that point. Yeah, great play call.
Here's the up man at the 10-yard line for Campolindo. He goes left side and gets tripped up at the ankles at the very last second. And so Campolindo will send their offensive unit out onto the field. They have a nice 34-14 lead. Halftime score was 34-7. Moreau Catholic comes out on their first offensive series of the second half. Tacks on 7 points. Score stands at 34-14. 8 minutes and 17 seconds left here in the third quarter at Moreau Catholic High School. The sun is down, the lights are on. Cheerleaders doing their cheer. The fans have packed in at Moreau Catholic High School here in Hayward, California. 1st and 10, Campolindo going left to right. This is a handoff and tripped up. And wait a second, the Mariners defensive line jumping up and down. You see DJ Suto indicate it's their ball. It's a turnover.
That's Christopher Garcia with picking up the ball, having the sense to grab that ball as soon as he could. Huge turnover for the Mariners.
So the offensive unit for Campolindo struggles right there. It looked like perhaps that was a fumble. You have this first-string quarterback, Brett Stevens, under center right there. Take the ball, hands it off. And that ball popped loose right from the get-go. And now it's Mariners ball, and they have it inside Campolindo territory. 1st and 10 on the Cougar 30.
And you start asking yourself, did Campolindo take things for granted there out of the half?
Yeah,
Looks so big.
Maybe they're taking the Mariners too lightly, as they've got some extra wind. Nick Canast under center. Tight end goes out, setting up for a pass. Canast under pressure, and he goes down. Another sack, and that time Patrick Calvis, number 22, first man to reach him. That's his 2nd sack in the ball game.
Yeah, Calvis is getting into the backfield. He's getting it done.
Calvis coming off the right side. He's a right outside linebacker, so he's going just past the left tackle. That's Derek Buss, one of the more talked about players for the Mariners offensive line. And so that'll be a loss of close to 6 yards right there for the Mariners. It's second down and close to 16. They have it on Campolindo's 30. Canas drops back, setting up for the screen. Ball tip, but still controlled by Suto. And he's finally dragged down around the 35. Campolindo's defense sniffs it out. And coming up and making the tackle is Isaac Christian.
And despite the fact that was a 3-yard gain, that was a great play by Suto. That had disaster written all over it.
And we've seen quite a few tip balls here in this matchup. The defensive line for Campolindo getting their hands up and batting those passes down. And right there you see the screenplay as the Mariners offense tries to execute the formation towards the left.
You know, you asked me at the half, what do the Mariners need to do to get back in this game? They need to go back to their game plan. Their game plan is running that little screen, running those little runs. And, yeah, it's working for them, so stick with it.
Gabe Villarreal, the wide receiver, towards the right side. Ian Rojas, the flanker, towards the left. One back in the backfield, that's Suto. Canas drops back 5 steps. He'll fling it towards the right, one-on-one coverage, but that looks like it goes way out of bounds. Incomplete pass across the far side, and that play was intended for Gabe Villarreal. Incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down. So 4th and 14 for the Mariners offense. They have the ball in the Cougar 34. From this range, it'd be close to a 51-yard field goal try, but when you trail 34-14, it's safe to say the Mariners are going to go for it and see if they can tack on a touchdown with 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Defense brings 3 men towards the line of scrimmage. They'll drop back 3 backers, and it looks like they're playing 6 defensive backs. 6 defensive backs for Campolindo. Backside pressure, Canas throws it down. Nowhere to go. The backside pressure was coming all day. And it looked like that was Justin Dunn who was providing that pressure towards the backside. And Derek Buss has had his work cut out for him all day. That'll be a turnover on downs.
Give credit to Campolindo's defense there. Like you said, they were kind of in a prevent defense, sending only 3 guys on the line. And the fact that Dunn got in there, hey, give the kid credit.
And that's just amazing. When you're only rushing 3 guys, and
right.
you got 6 defensive backs, you've got to correct something on that offensive line.
What's even more amazing is how quick he got there.
Yeah. 1st and 10 for Campolindo on their own 34. Stevens under center. Checks left. Fires. Pass is caught. What a grab by the wide receiver on the far side. The player's down. It looked like he bobbled the ball as he was going down. The flanker across the far side. Flag on the play thrown around the 40-yard line. And it looks like one of the corners is down. We'll wait to see what the call is. It was a quick slant across the far side.
You hate to see this if you're a Mariners fan. It's the sophomore Jason Hinton on the ground right now.
Hinton is one of the speedsters for the Mariners offense. He's been lined up as a wide receiver. He's been lined up as a running back. And as you see right there, he plays a little DB as well. And he is, as you mentioned, Eric, the injured Mariner, but glad to see quickly back to his feet.
You know what that's called? That's called those young bones. He's got the young bones.
Resilient.
Sophomore resilience, yes. Popped back up.
Getting back to his feet. The Mariner crowd here at Moreau Catholic on their feet, giving him a nice round of applause. A big game through the air right there. Brett Stevens, a bullet strike to the far side.
Yeah, you know, we talked about Stevens pregame, and that was probably one of the first times that we actually got to see him display his arm, and he can put a little zip to it.
1st and 10, Campolindo on their own 48. Hoffman in the backfield. Hoffman looks like he's going near side, but Stevens fires middle. And that's Windat. Mason Windat all day. He had 10 yards of free space as Brett Stevens with a deep strike gives Campolindo 6.
And Windat with the hat trick now, his 3rd touchdown of the evening for Campolindo.
Wow.
Okay, Stevens, so, you know, we talked about a pregame, hey, this kid can get it done. That's the first time I can honestly say, okay, this kid is a legitimate high school quarterback.
Yeah, he put that one right on the money. Perfect loft.
On a silver platter.
And something went a little bit wrong right there for the defensive unit, the secondary unit for the Mariners defense. Because like I was saying, Wendat had maybe 10 yards of free space as he caught that ball and just, trotted into the end zone. The PAT try, successful, 41-14 in favor of Campolindo here in the third quarter. What a display of firepower being shown by the Cougars offense. Play On Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. Follow us at Play On Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. So if you add up some of the stats here, my friend, Wendat is having himself a game. That's his third touchdown in the ball game, his second receiving score.
Yeah, I was going to mention August 24th, 2012, probably a day Mason Wendat will remember for the rest of his life.
Mason Wendat, one of those key returning players, one of the 4 key returning players for Campolindo, as the Mariners take the ball out to the 27-yard line. But getting back to Mason Wendat, he was one of the first names that Coach Macy mentioned. He said, look, I want to see what Wendat is made of. He was my third guy last year. I want to see how he progresses to a number 1. I say, so far tonight, pretty darn good.
Well done, young man, yeah. Well done. And it still cracks me up because prior to the game, we were talking to Coach Macy, and he's saying, hey, these kids, I'm a little concerned. They're dropping a lot of balls, during practice.
Yeah.
Not the case tonight.
That's a great point. He hinted in the scrimmage last week that his wide receivers were dropping quite a few passes, and they focused on that a little bit more this week in practice. And tonight they've been able to execute. Wendat with his second receiving touchdown. He has 1 rushing score, 3 total touchdowns so far here in the ball game. Mariners with the ball going right to left. 5:46 remaining in the third quarter. Handoff. And this one goes dead middle. A beautiful gain on the ground, close to 9 yards. Chris Garcia, the fullback, pounding ahead.
So far in the second half for the Mariners, it's been pretty much day and night for this offense. It's so much more impressive what they're doing coming out. I think a big part of it is the fact that the penalties aren't there on the offensive side.
I formation for the Mariners. Garcia at fullback. Canast under center. Garcia will get the call once again. He goes right side and tries to work between Granzella and the tight end Ryan Goulart. And he picks up some nice yardage. Crosses out to the 42. So the chains will move. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Mariners on the 41-yard line. And typically when you look at this Moreau Catholic team, you look at the stats they put up last season with rushing and passing. Typically they're more of a rush style team, and you can sense that with the I formation and 2 tight end sets. They really try to utilize that offensive line.
Yeah, and as you saw over there, they just lined up in an option format there. Look like they're trying a little trickery, and at this point of the game, I think you got to come out and pull out your big guns.
It'll be 2nd down and 5 on the 41-yard line following the 5-yard gain on the ground. 4 minutes and 36 seconds left in the third quarter. 41-14 in favor of Campolindo. Brett Stevens, the quarterback for the Cougars, coming in the ball game. I should say coming back into the ball game and really throwing the ball nicely. In the meantime, Garcia once again. And the Mariners have found a magic spot. They found some area to work on that offensive line, and it's really simple, but Campolindo cannot stop it. It's a fullback dive, and Garcia is working with it all day.
In between the tackles, they have found, I think the Mariners have found their workhorse here.
As Nick Canast comes back into the huddle, fresh set of downs. 1st and 10 as they have crossed over into Cougar territory. It's on the 47-yard line. Canast checking the middle of the field. Another dive, right side. On this drive alone, they've ran that play or a similar play 3 times on this series. And so far, they're getting some excellent yardage.
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it. Mariners moving nicely, and you can see the consistency here of 1st and 10, 1st and 10 going to 2nd and 5, and that's what's happening with this fullback dive. Lining up for a pass, looking middle, and that dangerous throw right there. Canest looking for a target towards the middle of the field, and that was Ryan Goulart, the tight end.
And you know they even play action on that fullback again.
Goulart was the intended target. He ran sort of a curl, if you will, or a deep seam, but a dangerous throw right there. At least 3 white jerseys around him. Incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 5. On the 42. Gabe Villarreal towards the left side of your screen, the near side. Man in motion right to left, that's Garcia. Garcia back over towards the right, defensive backs. Play back in coverage. Carry towards the right side. That'll be enough for a first down. A lot of movement going on. You see the Mariners utilize Garcia as he lines up as sort of an H-back. He'll do that quick shuffle motion. He goes left, then he goes right. And what they do is they utilize that hook block. They'll take Ryan Goulart, and they'll also get Garcia to hook block. And so far it's worked nicely. Another first down as they move the chains for the Mariners. 3 minutes and 7 seconds left here in the third quarter. 41-14, Campolindo with a nice cushion, but the Mariners threatening to see if they can put up perhaps 21. Canast drops back, heaves, pass goes off the hands of his intended target. That one falls incomplete. That was the tight end, Ryan Goulart.
Yeah, Goulart trying to make a tough catch there, just a little bit out of his reach.
And usually the old rule of thumb is if it touches your hands, you got to catch it, especially if it hits 2. You got to bring it in. And Ryan Goulart will probably watch the video on Monday, go back and say, man, I should have had that one. 2nd and 10 following the incomplete pass. And there's a penalty flag thrown. And it looks like it's going to be a false start against Moreau Catholic. The Mariners will face off against Piedmont. That game next week on August 31st at 7 p.m. That'll be a road game. If things keep up the way they are, the Mariners will start the season off 0-1, but they are trying to get themselves back in this ball game. They face 2nd and 15. Canast, backside pressure, ignores it, completes the pass on the far side.
That screen.
This is Hinton. This is the sophomore. You saw him take a vicious pop a few plays ago when he was on defense, and how about that? The sophomore back in the ball game with a nice completion, a gain of 14 yards.
Yeah, how impressive is that? Moments ago, he was lying on the floor for about 2 minutes because he got rocked, and yet he's here up again, making a great grab across the field.
He's one of those players. If you're head coach Andrew Cotter, you are looking forward to see this young man progress through his high school career.
And he's only a sophomore.
Tight end lined up towards the right side of the offensive formation, as well as the fullback. Canasta under center, hands it off right side, and this is going to be DJ Suto. Another flag on the play, this one thrown by our referee, Jerry Robinson. And it's going to be a holding call against the Mariners. And so when you give a lot of kudos like I was back in that first half toward the right side of that offensive line, you see a play like that go for the right side of the offensive line. You look down, you got Denny, you got Granzella, and you got Ryan Goulart, the tight end right there, perhaps the victim of that penalty flag.
Right. You got to give credit to Goulart nonetheless, though. As that tight end, he's still going out there making receptions also. So you get caught up in that hold every now and then.
Clock will continue to roll. 1 minute and 49 seconds left in the third quarter. Campolindo 41, Moreau Catholic 14. Villarreal, the wide receiver towards the left. Canasta goes right, dumps it off to Suto as he tries to juke a defensive back, and he'll get close to 3 yards, but it looks like the Mariners will come up 1 yard shy of the first down marker. That'll be a turnover on downs.
Despite the fact they didn't pick up the first down there, you still got to give credit to the Mariners and what they've done in the second half. Only 2 penalties on the offensive side. Really just a completely different team.
So a turnover on downs will give the ball back to Campolindo. And we'll wait to see if Brett Stevens, the star quarterback for the Cougars, heads out onto the field. Number 9 does not. He stays on the sideline, and we'll get a chance to see the backup, Andrew Zolantakis, the junior. He will command the huddle for the Cougars offense as they have the ball on their own 22-yard line, going left to right, wearing the white jerseys, navy helmets. They line up, tight end towards the right side, 2 wide receivers, 1 back behind Zolantakis, and it will be a simple rush play up the middle. Campolindo satisfied with the current lead right now. Imagine to see them keep the ball on the ground, nice and conservative, and just finish this game off with a hefty 41-14 lead.
Yeah, at this point, you want to avoid any kind of injury, so you just really kind of want to run out the clock up 41-14 like you mentioned.
Scott Singh Jr., the wide receiver, along the right side of the offensive formation, goes in motion right to left. It'll be a handoff towards the right side. And the defensive line of the Mariners sniffs it out. They stop that play from the get-go. As the clock ticks down to 45 seconds remaining in the third quarter. A pretty good draw here as we look outside at the fans that have showed up in attendance for tonight's opening matchup. Week 1 here, North Coast section. Campolindo of the Diablo Foothill League and Moreau Catholic of the Mission Valley League. Moreau Catholic's first year in the Mission Valley League, coming from the Bayshore League last season. The Mariners finished last season, as mentioned, 6-5, 5-2 in league play. An excellent job last season in league play. And we'll see if they can continue to do the same here in the new Mission Valley League. Third down, this will be a pass play towards the far sideline, nearly intercepted in and out of the hands of the outside backer. And if you're Nick Wong, you want that one back as it goes through both hands.
Boy, Wong came down with that. This game, you don't want to say it's over. I mean, if he comes down with that, presumably they're still kind of in this.
And that pauses the clock with 1 second remaining in the third quarter. The punt team will come out onto the field for Campolindo. Back deep to return the ball is Gabe Villarreal, number 19. He stands at his own 40-yard line. And we'll see if the Mariners really send the house to possibly block this punt. Oh, very close. End-over-end kick. And Villarreal gets tattooed at the 43. Coming up with a vicious hit right there for Campolindo. My goodness, I'm glad to see everyone is okay, but Matt Yaklovich, the senior, just delivers.
And Yaklovich really doing everything on the special teams. He also receives the balls. But boy, talk about just a huge hit.
And that was a rough shot right there.
So there is some discussion.
And correction on the hit, that was actually Joe Holden. 18 and 19 on their jerseys bunched together, but correction on the call. That was Joe Holden who delivered the stick.
Yeah, give Holden credit for that huge hit.
And that brings the third quarter to a close. We got 1 left to play, 41-14, as we get ready to start the fourth and final quarter of play here at Moreau Catholic High School. PlayOnSports.com is not only your destination for Friday night football action, but it's also the place for the most comprehensive coverage of high school playoff and championship events in all sports from across the country. PlayOnSports.com, high school sports lives here. 41-14, Campolindo on top of Moreau Catholic. The Cougars on their way to a 1-0 record. What a nice way to kick off the year, and Campolindo did the same thing last season. They've actually surpassed last year's score. They defeated Moreau Catholic 37-7 last season, and now they're on their way to a 41-14 victory, but still 1 quarter of football left to play.
Yeah, still pretty much anything can happen. And going into it now for the Mariners, you got to buckle up and say, all right, let's finish this game out on a good note and really get that momentum for the rest of the season to start, because keep in mind, this is the first game of the season, and you really want to pick up that momentum to last you throughout the whole season.
Absolutely. Campolindo last year with just a remarkable season, 14-1, their only loss coming to Washington Union of Fresno, California. That was in the Division III CIF State Bowl Championship game, all the way down in Carson, California at the Home Depot Center. And they lost that one. Very, very close defeat, 21-16. That shows you how great of a season they had last year. Here's Iwakawa back into the ball game. 5'5" rusher takes it straight ahead and picks up some nice yardage on the ground, close to 6 yards on the carry.
When talking about Campolindo, you talk about the section title last year also. And, that's only their second one in school history, last one dating back to 1986. Wow. Still that buzz, around the school and what they did last year, and it's really rolling off tonight.
And the Bay Area media here has this team ranked high. You look at a lot of the different newspapers around the Bay Area, you look at a lot of the online sites, and this team top 15 easily by a lot of different media outlets. Pass complete to Scott Singh Jr. I beg your pardon, Scott Singh, who is a junior, takes that play down the near sideline, picks up some nice yardage for a first down. 11 minutes and 15 seconds left here in this ball game. It's all Campolindo, 41-14. As we see the backup quarterback once again, Andrew Zolantakis, line up directly under center, tight end towards the left, man in motion left to right. Iwakawa straight ahead, and look at the hole. Look at the room he has to work.
Boy, and you mentioned it before, Sean. Iwakawa, 5'5". He gets lost in there among all the big kids and all the big trees in there. The little guy just runs in.
Well, when you take a look at the 5'5" Iwakawa, and he rushes, say, towards the middle or towards the right side, he's going behind Tyler Moore, who's 6'3", 240. And really, when he stands behind him, you see Moore, he's the right tackle on the offensive line. It's easy to see how he gets
lost. It's like standing behind a building for him.
1st and 10. Iwakawa once again, he starts right side, rushes back towards the middle.
What I like about Iwakawa too, Sean, is that he is, here's my favorite word in my vocabulary, shifty.
Very shifty, as Ryan Goulart comes up with the tackle. The tight end also plays defensive end for the Mariners. 2nd down and 5. Scott Singh, the wide receiver, towards the right side. Handoff goes right, nowhere to go. Nice job by the defense. Grayson Granzella comes up with the tackle.
Yeah, great.
He just pushed the offensive lineman right off him and made a tremendous play.
Great pursuit.
And Granzella's played that left side of the defensive line throughout the entire ball game. Haven't called his name a whole lot. Grayson Granzella. He also plays right tackle on the offensive line, so he's familiar with who he's going up against. And right there, he read that one perfect. It's 3rd down and 5. 9 minutes, 16 seconds left in the 4th quarter. 3rd and 5 on the 15-yard line for Campolindo. Zolantakis directly under center, hands it off, and the D-line does their job yet again. The Mariners D-line holds up strong and forces 4th down. Give credit to Reginald Naker with the tackle. PA announcer helping us out here at Moreau Catholic High School. From this angle, and I hinted at it earlier on the broadcast, the booth here has glass surrounding the entire visible area, so looking out, especially if there's light surrounding, it does give a little bit of a glare, but want to make sure we give credit to the proper player coming up with the tackle right there, as it's going to be 4th down for Campolindo, and they're probably just going to rush this to extend the drive and burn some more clock. Pass play over towards the near side, complete. And it will be interesting to see if that was good enough for a 1st down. Coming up and making the tackle was Nando Tover.
And you mentioned that you were thinking that'd be a run there. I think there you toss that little pass just to, like I said earlier, get your reps in, kind of get the feel for everything and everyone on the field right now.
Just shy of the 1st down, so that'll be a turnover on downs for Campolindo. Cougars defense will now come out. Mariners offense back out onto the field. 8 minutes, 17 seconds left here in the ball game.
Yeah, give credit to the Mariners defense there. Their line came up big.
Nick Canas will send a man in motion right to left. He checks things down towards the left side. Tight end lines up towards the left. This will be a toss, as Suto tries to find some room, and it closes so quickly. DJ Suto You can tell he wants to cut it back inside and try to really just scoot straight ahead, but that time it just closed so fast.
Yeah, when we talked to Coach Cotter before game time, I asked him about Sutil and said, hey, give me one word to describe this kid. And he said explosive. He's a slasher. Tonight it seems like he hasn't been able to get that one play in to really show that explosiveness. But you see glimpses of it. You can see throughout the season that's going to come.
No gain on the rush, brings up 2nd down and 10. Mariners going left to right. They have the ball on their left hash mark. They're going to power things forward towards the right side of that offensive line. Here comes the toss towards the right side. It's actually a halfback pass, intercepted. Touchdown for Campolindo. What an awkward play. It appeared that was maybe even tipped, but it slipped out of the quarterback's hand. Nick Canast could not get that ball downfield. And coming up with the interception was Chandler Witham.
And put that in the category of something you do not see every high school football game, right?
A bizarre play as Canast tried to get that ball down the middle of the field. He was looking middle, and the ball slipped clear out of his hands, and it looked like 51 Chandler Witham came up with the interception, and he actually did not score. They're going to say he was down inside the 1, but we might see a score right here as it's a nice little fullback handoff for Campolindo. They now have the ball, and that just happened so quick.
Go back to that Mariners offensive play, and that's just kind of summing up the night for the Mariners tonight. You know, trying to do a little razzle-dazzle, a little trickery. It just doesn't go your way some nights.
And the clock will continue to roll now. 6 minutes and 56 seconds remaining in the ball game. Number 25 checks in for Campolindo. That's John Santaguida. Coming over towards the sideline is Moses Havel, a junior. We're seeing some secondary players coming on and off the field now for the Cougars. 2nd down and goal, right hash mark. Zolantakis directly under center. Similar play, fullback dive, and that's another Cougar touchdown.
So that's Nicky Akawa.
Going the right side, Nicky Akawa. He has been a little speed demon here tonight. He's moving around. It's so hard to pick him up around the offensive line, and he tacks on 6 points.
You know, I think Campolindo's going to use Akawa quite a bit this year on that goal line stance because, like you said, he's a little guy, right? But getting behind those big trees, as I like to refer to him, in that offensive line, he's going to get a lot of touches that way.
The PAT attempt is lining up on to try the PAT is Will Simmons, number 88. He gets this one in the air. It's a low kick, but it just clears the crossbar. It's good. That puts the score at 48-14. Campolindo with 6:30 remaining here in the ball game. Stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com postgame show where we will select our player of the game as well as wrap up all the action from this ball game. That's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. And, you know, Eric, I think it's a nice topic for discussion, taking a look at some of the leaders in this ball game. Who jumps out in your mind first for player of the game honors?
It's got to be Wendett, right? I mean, the kid's got 3 touchdowns, and the way he did it, he showed us his agility. He showed us his speed. He showed us he wants to compete at this level. He shows us that he doesn't want the Cinderella run to end for Campolindo.
He's had a great ball game, and he is well deserving of PlayOnSports.com player of the game honors.
Will Simmons will tee it up. Back deep are Gabriel
Villarreal and Hinton back deep to return the ball for the Mariners. And at this point, you really want to see what you have left. The score is obviously not in the Mariners' favor. Their first home game of the year, the home crowd on hand to watch Moreau Catholic's football team, 2012 squad. But now they want to finish strong and see if they can get one last score before the clock strikes 0. The return man will take it out of bounds across the far side of the field, and Moreau Catholic will have pretty good field position to start their next offensive series here in the 4th quarter. As the officials mark this ball close to the 30-yard line.
Now let's see here if both teams start to make some substitutions at this point, since it is early in the season.
And you look down on the field to see if perhaps a new quarterback has come onto the field for the Mariners. But no, that is not the case. Nick Canast remains in the ball game. He'll line up in the shotgun with one back to his right, two wide receivers over toward his right, two to his left. He'll take it himself. Has some room to work. Crosses the 45. Makes a nice move, gets a good block, and he'll get tackled just shy of the Cougar 49-yard line.
Boy, oh boy, that's really the first time we've seen Canast actually took the ball away and run. And boy, that's something that they might want to consider more in the future because the kid's got some wheels.
It looked pretty good, didn't it? I mean, as soon as he got the ball, he almost dropped back like he was going to pass it. You figured the way they spread it out with four wideouts, he took off and had some nice blocks.
Yeah, everything kind of opened up for him, and he saw the hole and took it to his advantage.
Canast once again from the gun. 1st and 10. They have it on the Cougar 48. Suto, juking all over the place, crosses the 35 and gets some extra help as he's tackled down close to the 30-yard line. Hurry-up offense in full effect for the Mariners.
And you got to love to see that at Suto. The heart is still there for Suto. Kid cutting it upfield. And did you see the vision on there? He was cutting that left, decided to cut back right, literally on a dime, cut it up for another 15 yards.
Jason Hinton, number 21, checks into the ball game, the sophomore for the Mariners. He looks over towards the sideline, along with his quarterback, Nick Canast. Still in the shotgun, but this time the tailback will be to his left. Canast will take it himself, lowers his shoulder, and he's tackled right away. Will Simmons in on the tackle, the kicker for Campolindo, making the stop.
I really see that quarterback keeper working here for the Mariners throughout the season with Canast. Like I said, he's a big enough kid that he can run some people over, and he's actually got some really good wheels.
2nd down following the QB keeper. And right now you're seeing the Mariners just switching things up in terms of the backfield formation. As Canast steps up, looks for the ball, backside pressure, looking near side, and that one nearly intercepted. It goes in and out of the hands of the defensive back. Moses Havel nearly had himself a pick as he had two hands on it, but it goes incomplete.
Yeah, boy, that football just turned into a hot potato, bouncing off two players' hands there.
A lot of secondary players, as mentioned, in this defensive unit for Campolindo. You see Moses Havel, the cornerback, towards the near side of your screen on the opposite side of the field. We're going to have two wide receivers lined up. 5 defensive backs for the Cougars defense. Here comes an inside blitz. Screenplay being set up. This is Hinton with the catch, crosses the 20. Still on his feet, gets past the 1st down marker, and then 3 white jerseys come in to take him down, but there's some nice yardage on the play. That'll be enough for a 1st down.
If you're the Mariners, what you're going to take from this game is that play and how successful it has been for them. That little bubble screen, how many times have they gone back to that? And how many yards have they got on that?
Yeah, when they use Suto or Hinton, I mean, those two guys can really work when they get the ball in their hand. 4 minutes and 33 seconds left in the ball game. And this one, just a simple handoff. And watch Hinton just drag players as he takes it down to the 5. What appeared to be a 4 to maybe 6 yard gain turns out to be a gain close to 15.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of football, you had to love to watch that play right there. Did you see the wheels just churning and churning, refusing to go down? You got to live to see the foot movement there, not slowing down.
Can't wait to watch this sophomore progress throughout this year. It'll be 1st and goal. QB keeper goes left side. Canast goes out of bounds. Did he get in the corner of the end zone? He does. So in the far corner, Canast takes it himself, punches it in, and the Mariners aren't dead yet. I'm glad to see they were able to put up one more score here in the 4th quarter.
One word for you. Despite the score, 48-20 right now, one word, wow. That offensive drive pretty much is something they can build on for the rest of the season. You know what it all came down to, like you mentioned before, this team loves to run. You got a couple of quarterback keepers there by Canast. You run that little bubble screen, and, boy, it's so simple, but it's so effective for them.
So the Mariners will be going for 2.
2-point conversion try here for the Mariners. Play action, Canast now lining up to throw it. He had an open lane towards the far side, thought he was just going to tuck it and go. But that one comes up incomplete. 2-point try, no good. That puts the score at 48-20 in favor of Campolindo.
Yeah, the field was wide open there for Canas. That's when the brain is just doing too much work. That's the point where you just kind of tuck it away and score yourself.
We'd like to remind you to stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com postgame show, where we will select our player of the game as well as wrap up all the action from this ball game. That's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. 4 minutes and 5 seconds left in the ball game. Eric Hodge joined alongside me. I'm Sean Hennessy, counting down the final minutes here from Moreau Catholic High School. The Mariners able to execute a nice little offensive series right there, march down the field. They punch it into the end zone off of a quarterback rush towards the far pylon, the far near pylon, I should say, as Canas punches it in. But then they go for the 2-point try, and he's unable to convert the play-action pass. He had an open lane, but he couldn't punch it in.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of trivial with the whole 2-point conversion. However, you got to give credit to the Mariners. I think they really found a lot of their offensive identity just in that last series.
So with 4 minutes and 5 seconds left, the Cougars offense will head out onto the field to finish this game up and head back up to Moraga as a 1-0 football team. When you take a look at Campolindo, Eric, what are some of the things that you're going to take away from this ball game that perhaps they could work on for next week as they get ready to roll in towards week number 2?
You know, I want to say that they didn't get a little lackadaisical in the second half, but I think you go up that huge lead. You got to play for 4 quarters, you know, and I know Coach Macy would be the first one to say that. You got to play for 4 quarters because not every game is going to have this kind of outcome. So, you know, they got a little lackadaisical there. I think it's definitely something they have to look into.
You know, Coach Macy will hit on that too.
Yeah.
When they go back and watch the film on Monday, he'll want to wonder why perhaps the start of that third quarter his defense came out a little flat.
But outside of that, what they did well is, you know, coming into the game,
Where do we start?
Right. You know, I really want to give credit to the defense, however, because I've been talking about it all night. Only one returning starter from last year's Cinderella team, and here they are coming out in the first half especially and really playing well. And you got to give credit to their offense also. I mean, we saw Brett Stevens in a limited role tonight do what he's capable of doing, and you see the reasoning why a lot of people talk about this kid being one of the better quarterbacks in the section.
One of the good things here for Campolindo, as we see a flag on the play, too many men in the Campolindo offense, as we see one of the offensive players trot back towards the sideline. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. But one of the good things here, if you're Campolindo with the score, they've had a chance to really see how the backup quarterback is going to look. And I'm talking about Andrew Zolantakis, the junior. Getting a lot of work here in week 1.
Zolantakis, you could tell just watching him briefly, he's got a high football IQ as well. You know, you give credit to both these quarterbacks for the IQ. You know, that goes a lot into coaching, a lot of film, a lot of practice. These kids know the game of football.
Santa Guida, the ball carrier, gets a gain of 5. It'll bring up 3rd down and 5 for Campolindo. Approximately 3 minutes remaining here in the ball game. 48-20 is our score. Campolindo just winding things down. Campolindo's toughest 2012 opponents, if you take a look at their schedule, El Cerrito at home, Miramani away, and Alhambra away. Those have to be the toughest opponents that Campolindo will face off against. And if you flip sides and take a look at Marin Catholic, you know, obviously Campolindo, this will be one of their tougher opponents this season, and that the score reflects that. But they also have to face off against St. Patrick St. Vincent, who Campolindo will face off against. St. Patrick St. Vincent is, you know, right up there with Campolindo in terms of student population Division III school. That'll be a road game. And then next week, the Mariners will take on Piedmont, and that'll be a road game as well.
And you got to ask yourself, is it a good thing to play a team in your first game that's in a higher division that has more students? I think actually for the Mariners, this is going to help them tremendously to see this level of talent with more students and so forth. I think there's a lot that they can learn from this game.
4th down and 1. Campolindo will punt it away, but it goes through the hands of Dunn. That's Justin Dunn, the punter. He picks it up and runs with it. Did he get a first down? That's the big question. It went right through his hands. He looks behind him, picks it up, runs across the far side of the field, and it looks like he'll be at least 1 yard to 1.5 yards shy, which means one more chance for the Mariners with $1:47 left in the ball game.
If you're the Mariners at this point, let's see what you just did on your last offensive series. They went back to the basics, those little bubble screens, run it up the gut.
Last year's final score, 37-7 in favor of Campolindo. The Mariners have surpassed their original score from last year. They've put up 20 points in this ball game. Now they want to see if they can make that 27. 1st and 10 for the Mariners, going left to right, shotgun formation.
There it is.
This is Canast with a beautiful completion. Hinton being dragged, still on his feet. The kid goes into the end zone. You've got to be kidding me.
And can you get excited for a play down 48-20? Yes, sir, you can with that. Hinton, how impressive has this kid been?
Whew. Talk about an amazing play.
You know, you've been talking about it. Hinton is a name I think we're going to talk about here in the Bay for the next few years. It's the fact that he just sees the field so well. I mean, that play started off inside. He managed to cut it outside, stay on his feet, and he's got this little burst of speed that you don't see too often at the high school level that really, really gives him that final push.
It took just one play right there.
Yeah,
That was a really quick score for Moreau Catholic. Something to look forward to. They line up in the same 2-point formation that they did the previous time. And the Mariners will burn a timeout. It's their first timeout used here in the second half. 1 minute, 34 seconds remaining in the ball game. Stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com post-game show, where we will select our player of the game as well as wrap up all the action from this ball game that's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports. PlayOnSports.com. I think it's safe to say Mason Windat, the wide receiver, the flanker for Campolindo, he's had a very good game. He had 3 big scores for the Cougars. I mean, there's a host of names we could throw in there. We could probably add some defensive names in there as well. But I think so far he's our top candidate for player of the game.
Oh, without question, in my opinion, Mason Windat is going to go ahead and go to sleep tonight with a huge smile on his face. You come into the first game of the season, you score 3 touchdowns. This is the story he's going to tell his grandkids one day.
Mariners hustle back to the line of scrimmage. We'll see if they can catch Campolindo off guard. But they have to wait till the official blows the whistle following a timeout. Standard procedure. Handoff. Hinton sees room right side.
There it is. And that's why you are smiling if you're a Mariners fan. Again, starts inside, has enough vision to cut it back outside and get into the end zone.
So how about that? Something to look forward to. Jason Hinton, a sophomore at 5'10", 185 pounds. Who knows? He could be 5'11" next year, maybe 200. Who knows what could happen over the stretch of a year. But this sophomore, we've talked about him quite a bit here tonight. And remember, he took a pretty vicious blow on defense.
Yeah, if you guys remember at home, I mean, he was down on the field for 2 minutes. Yeah. And here he is scoring touchdowns still.
He took a vicious shot.
It's those young bones, Sean, I'm telling you. Young bones. I miss them.
Don't we all? And the Mariners have closed the gap to 20 points now. It's 48-28 following the successful 2-point conversion. And the Mariners were trailing by more than 30 at one point, so they've closed the gap to just 20. Onside kick attempt for the Mariners. This is Andrew O'Brien. Takes the proper bounce, but just a little too much speed on it. And Campolindo will send their offense out onto the field for what seems to be the final time.
Go back to the Mariners offense really quick. The funny thing is I literally think they could have an offensive playbook that runs 10 plays. Bubble screen, run it up the gut, run counter to the left, run a counter to the right, and maybe a little post play. I mean, this team is so athletic on the offensive side, and they've really shown a lot in the second half, and I think they're definitely going to grow off that.
Solantakis back into the huddle for the Cougars. Second string quarterback getting his reps. Brett Stevens with 3 touchdown passes tonight on the sideline.
We haven't even been mentioning Brett Stevens' name tonight.
It seems odd with all the talk about it. I mean, we mentioned earlier on the verbal commitment to UCLA for baseball of all sports, but you know, as we've learned, I think it's safe to say over the past decade or so, especially with the high school commits, that anything can happen, especially with the verbal commitment. For those of you that tune in to the nationally televised high school games, a lot of times you'll see, or even if you're watching it through playonsports.com, sometimes these kids change their minds and they switch schools at the last minute.
Yeah, he could have a change of heart, and say, hey, I want to stay with football.
Simple handoff that pops loose. The ball carrier coughs it up about 8 yards into the rush. And that's recovered by the Mariners. Campolindo falling apart in this fourth quarter. And given the fact that you're seeing a lot of secondary players, second-string players, with all due respect, getting their work in, they are really falling apart right here. It's going to give the Mariners another chance to tack on some more points.
Let's give the Mariners some credit, take into consideration that the score was 34-7 at the half. Here they are, a completely different team on both sides of the ball. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I've been thoroughly impressed despite the score.
Quarterback Nick Canast heads back in there, smile on his face, tells his guys, hey, let's do it again. As he lines up with 4 wide receivers to work with, 2 to each side in the shotgun. Glances left, he throws, and it's caught!
Oh, what a grab.
Oh, dropped at the last second. Dropped at the last second. His target, Nick Wong, had the ball. It actually hit his chest, hit both hands, popped loose as he appeared to be going to the ground.
And the concentration you have to bring that ball in after it bounces off your hands. I know for a fact that he saw that opposing player coming in and getting ready to hit him. So great attempt there by Wong to try to grab that ball.
Yeah, sometimes easier said than done. When you hear the footsteps, the other player coming in, it can throw you off as a wide receiver. For those of you that have played the position before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 2nd down and 10. Mariners going left to right, whistles blow.
I don't know about you, Sean, but it doesn't feel like a 48-28 game.
No, it doesn't. It's gotten a heck of a lot closer, too. Keep in mind, at one point in this ball game, it was 41-14. So in the fourth quarter here, the Mariners have put up 14 points.
You know what I think has been the entertaining part is that we're seeing the progress of the Mariners offense here. They've been out of the game for a while now, let's face it, but they aren't giving up. They are finding out what works for them. They're keeping the starters in the game, and I think they're going to really have some success here throughout the year.
And if you're head coach Andrew Cotter, you take the loss, but one thing I'm taking away from this is the fact that my guys never gave up.
Without question.
Looking middle. And that one's incomplete. Suto, the intended target, ran what appeared to be a deep, maybe seam.
Again, just like Wong, the concentration to try to even catch that ball, the athleticism on this offense, pretty impressive.
And keep in mind, Campolindo lines up with 3 defensive linemen. On the right side, they bring Will Simmons. And they keep those DBs playing way back. The safeties are standing around the 42-yard line. Line of scrimmage is at the Mariner 44. Here's a pass that's caught by Hinton. Hinton breaking away from 3 players. Gets a couple blocks, spin move, crosses the 40. Thrown out of bounds, close to the 25. This kid is on fire here in the fourth quarter.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Jason Hinton has arrived on the high school football scene. You know what was most impressive about that? After catching the ball, he did that little spin.
He slipped 3 players and then sheds a tackle as he's trying to progress yardage down the far sideline. Gets the first down and gets out of bounds.
Yeah, and to have the sense to get out of bounds, too.
A tremendous play by the sophomore.
That's one of those things that you just do not teach.
This kid has had a great game. Now you want to spot him down on the field, but it appears he's going to catch a breather as Suto's in the backfield. Canast will take it as he's tackled at the 20-yard line. Whistles blow, and I believe there's a timeout on the field for the Mariners. They're gonna plan this one and see if they can get one last score on the board with 44 seconds remaining here in the ball game. 20-point lead for Campolindo. And one more time for you folks, stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com postgame show, where we will select our player of the game as well as wrap up all the action from this ball game that's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. And Mason Windat will be our player of the game here at Moreau Catholic High School, one of the wide receivers for the Cougars. 3 scores. It's hard to top that.
Yeah, very well-deserved Player of the Game award for Wendat.
So stick around, folks. We will grab Mason Wendat, and we'll come back to you live with a Player of the Game interview momentarily, as soon as this one gets wrapped up here in Hayward, California.
You know what's weird about the scene right now? I've probably covered about 1,000 high school football games in my day. You look at the crowd, no one's left despite the score.
Oh, it's jam-packed.
Everyone's entertained despite the score.
Across the far sideline, and they have every reason to be. Their offense has put up 14 points here in the fourth quarter, threatening to put up 21. Second down, shotgun formation, high snap. Canas throws for the end zone. Ooh. And it goes right out of his receiver's hands. That's Gabe Villarreal. And it looked like perhaps he didn't know where the back line of the end zone was.
Yeah, you kind of saw him looking like a baseball player looks for the warning track in the fence. He was kind of looking at that line.
He had a little bit of space to work with, and he stretched where perhaps he could have kept his stride. He'll kick himself for that one. He nearly had a touchdown.
Give credit to Canast. He needed to put that ball in one spot. He put it in that spot.
Third down following the incomplete pass. 38 seconds left on the clock. A lot of excitement if you're a Mariners fan, and you can feel it down on the field, even though your team trails by 20.
Yeah, even though you're trailing by 20.
You've got a chance to put up some more points here against a team that defeated you last year 37-7. Different story this season. Here's a pass that is intercepted. That one is picked off, and that's Matt Joklavich, and he takes it out of bounds, and that should do it. You read that one perfectly.
Yeah, honestly, probably the perfect way to end the ball game. You know, despite the fact that the Mariners were driving and playing really well and showing what they could showcase on offense, I mean, go back to this defense for Campolindo, bringing back one returning starter from last year, really shutting down the Mariners tonight.
The senior Matt Joklavich may have just wrapped things up here for Campolindo as their offense will head out onto the field to just take a knee and get on out of here with a 20-point victory. 28 seconds left on the clock. As you see the Campolindo players shaking their hands, getting ready to gather towards the 50-yard line. And that will do it as both teams get ready to come towards midfield. The clock will roll down 15 seconds, and that will do it. Final score, Campolindo 48, Moreau Catholic 28. What a ball game. And you got to be impressed with Campolindo that their defense came to play tonight.
Their defense, and everyone talks about their offense, but tell you what, that defense really came out and sizzled.
48-28 final score. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back to have our PlayOnSports.com Player of the Game interview. Once again, Mason Wendat is our Player of the Game. So when we come back, Eric Hodge is going to head down onto the field. I will have a live interview with Mason Wendat coming up here in just a few moments. We've wrapped things up. Final score once again, 48-28. Campolindo defeats Moreau Catholic here at Moreau Catholic High School. Stick around. PlayOnSports.com, we're your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you in one shot.
3:16 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen? That was
Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took the handoff from
He
Dion.
took the ball right out of Dion's hands and just
holy cow!
Can't say I've seen that one very often.
Snyder comes shooting in from the A-gap. I think Dion froze when he saw him. He's ready to hand off to his running back. He froze when he saw him and just let him have the ball.
12 seconds to go.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop.
5, 4, 3, 2. Get the snap off. Last play of the game. Brewster rolls right. Gets away from 2 sacks. Dons wins. Sack at the 20-yard line. What a game!
And number 40, Lucas Zinder with the game-saving sack. And there is heartbreak on one sideline and a jubilation on another.
Offset eye for the Grizzlies as Keeney takes it under center. They'll send a man in motion, pitch back to Bird on the sweep. Bird finds a seam. He might go, folks. 20, 15, 10. Drags a tackler. Touchdown! Bird goes 38 yards for the touchdown on the sweep. One more snap is all it's going to take. And there you have it, folks. Your 2011 Division I Sac Joaquin section champions, the Granite Bay Grizzlies, as they defeat Pleasant Grove 30-24.
Jacqueline Williamson. Her serve is over. Dug by Holt. Giblin going back to Holt near side. Cut shot. Kept alive. Back in one by Cathedral. And this one is out as Castanon Hill sends it wide. And the Cathedral Dons have won the title 16-14 in Game 5.
Thomas with the ball, swings it out to Norris. Cameron Taylor tried to block that one away. Norris with a strong take, blocked by B.J. Anya. Huge block. Robinson leading the break the other way, gets it to Grant. Slam dunk Jeremy Grant off the feed from James Robinson. What a play by the Stags.
Runner at third is Chavez. 8-2 the score. Bottom of the 7th. The 1-2. Popped in the air. This should do it. Cortopassi says it's mine. Now he's fading on it. And he can't make the catch, but Gaff comes in from center field and does. Congratulations to the St. Mary's Rams, a three-peat. They win it 8-2 against Franklin to take the series 2-0.
This is time to run an offensive set that you've done all through the season in practice.
Yeah. And you also, you get it to your hottest player right now, just like they're getting into Eichhorst right here. He's going to try to create some space, find somebody on the backside that's open.
Eichhorst flush out to the right. Oh, breaks free for player. Eichhorst on his own, shoots and scores, bounces a shot home. Coos can't handle the shot. Eichhorst takes off the shirt and the helmet. And how about that? Alex called it. Eichhorst, after sustaining the injury in the third quarter of play, has scored the game winner with 22 seconds gone in the overtime period. Dogpile on the field. Marin Academy take it. A fantastic finish to this game. And, well, I hope his other ankle isn't hurting after this.
Hancock to his immediate left. Two receivers far side, one near side. Hancock on a counter right side. He's inside the 10. He bounces off a tackler at the 10. The 5. Touchdown, Helix. And behind Hancock, the field is littered with white jerseys on the turf.
Wow. Hancock not to be outdone by his fellow playmakers on offense. Put on a show on that short 12-yard touchdown run. Looked like he was down after 3 yards, just threw a defender on the ground.
As sophomore Chris Carter steps under center.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PlayOnSports.com. Sean Hennessy here with you. Our player of the game, our PlayOnSports.com player of the game, Mason Windat. 3 big scores here tonight as Campolindo defeats Moreau Catholic by a final score 48-28. 3 big scores, my friend. You had 2 through the air. You had 1 on the ground. Talk about your offensive performance here tonight.
I mean, it was awesome. We were clicking on all ends. I mean, we had no idea coming in this game how our offense was going to look. I mean, we lost a couple big guys on our offense, and we just came out firing.
Talk about the relationship you have with your quarterback, Stevens. He's a well-known player. You guys had him last year. You make it to that title game. You had a heck of a run. What's your relationship like with your quarterback?
I mean, he's one of my best friends. I've known him since middle school. I mean, we hang out all the time. I mean, we're connected great.
Mason Windat, our PlayOnSports.com player of the game. Once again, final score 48-28. No better way to kickstart the season 1-0. How did you guys practice this week in preparation for Moreau Catholic?
I mean, our coach has been telling us all week that every team's gunning for us. I mean, we're defending NCS champs, and we got to come out here and prove it.
Coach Macy, when we had a chance to talk to him down on the field, he mentioned that in your scrimmage last week, he said that the receiving corps dropped a couple passes. He wanted to focus on that and really kind of hone in on you guys this week and see what you were made of. Did you guys sense that coming into this matchup?
I feel like we had a lot to prove this game. I mean, we were a little shaky during the scrimmage, and we came out firing this week.
Mason Windat, once again, our PlayOnSports.com player of the game. 1-0, you guys get ready to go into week 2. A lot of football left to be played. One last question before you go. What do you guys take away from this game and get ready to use in week 2 and throughout the rest of the season?
I mean, it was a great win, but we got to come out Monday focused and ready to go for week 2.
All right, congratulations,
Thank
Mason
you.
Windat, our PlayOnSports.com player of the game. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back to wrap things up right here on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Don't go anywhere.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you in one shot.
.316 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen? That was
Jason Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
4th and
Welcome back to PlayOnSports.com. Eric Hodge reaccompanying me. I'm Sean Hennessy. 48-28, the final score here at Moreau Catholic High School. Campolindo comes out on top. They win by 20 points. Just had a chance to talk with Mason Windat, our player of the game. He had 3 big scores, and it really helped Campolindo, come out on top. But we got to talk about their defense. Their defense had such a great game.
Yeah, go back to Mason really quick. I grabbed him on the field, and he had just the biggest smile on his face and said, hey, this is a day you'll probably never forget. He's like, yeah, duh, right? And as far as their defense is concerned, we said earlier in the game, hey, they are only returning 1 starter. What did they do to prove us all wrong? They came out and pretty much dominated on the defensive side of the ball.
And then Brett Stevens, he had himself one heck of a game. 3 tosses for touchdowns. How about the backup coming in? We take a look at Zolantakis. He got a chance to really get some work with those first stringers, which is only going to help him out considering he's a junior.
Exactly, and Coach Macy has got to love the fact that he had the opportunity to put Zach in and get him some reps out there, and what he was able to do was pretty impressive. Keep in mind that quarterback IQ is there with Zach and Brett Stevens, which is really weird because he had 3 touchdowns, but it might have been the quietest 3 touchdowns I've ever seen.
Moreau Catholic falls to 0-1, but Jason Hinton, I think, when this is all said and done, he's going to be one of those guys that we're going to remember in this broadcast. He had himself a ball game. That second half, he had the fans into it. He had the players into it. Only a sophomore. What can we expect from this kid as this season progresses?
Like you said, he's going to grow in size. He's only going to get bigger, stronger, faster, which is scary to think about. But he's got just the instinct that you want to see in a football player. He sees the field like not everyone else sees the field, and he's able to pick up that extra yard if he needs it. Yeah, very impressive. That's a name we'll be talking about here in the Bay Area for quite some time.
Final score, 48-28. Campolindo comes out on top. I'd like to thank Eric Hodge, my analyst. I'm Sean Hennessy, and from my entire production crew, thank you for tuning in to PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports. So long, everybody.